smokes, guys. Sorry for being late. As you might have noticed, my normal setup is gone. I started working on a different look here, and then I realized that I couldn't go back to the old one. And so here's what I look like now. And we got some different scenes. So when I'm on screen, it's just going to look like this now. When I've got whoops, that's not it. I'm going to get this together at some point. It's going to look like that now. So there we go. I don't know. I chose the wrong fucking day. I tell you that. I chose the wrong fucking day to change some things because I'm like, oh, I'll have some time in the morning. I can mess with it, and if it doesn't look good, I'll just go back to the old one. And there we go. Am I muted? I am not. Or you said musted. You love my jaundice streamer. Is it looking jaundicey again? I don't know what to do with the lighting. The problem, I think, and maybe you guys can help me. The problem is that I got yellow lights, whatever, like those lights that make everything look yellow. I have dark appliances and a dark hardwood floor. And so I think I've got to change out all the light bulbs. I think that's the plan. So I don't know. If anybody knows about lighting, feel free to message me because I don't have a fucking clue. Let me extend this out a little bit so I can see everything. There we go. Oh, I didn't even get in to talk to Jen yet. I've only talked to Jen for like 12 seconds this morning to tell her I was going to be late. There we go. Jen, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm sending you a picture of what you look like on TikTok. We're very up close and personal with you.
Sure. All right. Let me see if I can zoom out. I can zoom out. I can just do this. Is that better?
Let's see.
But then it doesn't go. Yeah, we're there. I'll move this down here maybe a little so Jen's OCD doesn't completely explode. What is? I don't even know what this shit is. Get out of there. You move that around. It won't look like this most of the time, in all fairness to the folks on TikTok.
It cuts off the links a little bit too.
It cuts off the link? Oh, great. Yeah, well, fuck. It is what it is today. Thanks, Streamlabs. Let me look at it. You sent me the picture.
Yeah.
Am I getting roasted in Discord right now? Oh, we are. We are in my nose today. All right. Jesus.
Up close and personal.
Jeez, yeah, we are. What's up, Discord or TikTok? I mean, it might look like that on YouTube then too. I think it's kind of the same dimensions. Is it all right on YouTube?
It looks okay on YouTube, but TikTok's just we're
there.
We're in your face.
Yeah, well, so. Hope you guys enjoy it. It's going to be a wild ride today. It's a I think probably the most depressing outline I've ever put together. I think it's gonna be a real challenge today to not let it bother me. Sorry, I got too many windows open. Let me do one more thing here. Didn't need that up. And so I'm just gonna tell you in advance that it's not gonna be a good day. And I'm also gonna tell our friends here that are here every day, Larry and who's the other? What is it? Robert. I might not have a ton of patience today. Just please don't be racist today. We're going to show you a lot of things that people are doing that are racist and bigoted. And if you want to stick around today's not the day to troll about being racist. I think it's extremely small-minded to be that way. I can't imagine anybody supporting what Trump said yesterday. I can't imagine why anybody would support the actions of this administration right now outside of like you're willing. I guess what's the best way I could put this? I'm trying to give you like the best light possible. You don't recognize racism. You're fine with racism as long as there is some sort of excuse for it. And even if those excuses are made up numbers and made up stories, you'll probably just go with it. So it's going to be like that today. What you call racist is rarely racist. Josh, I doubt you know what racist is. And I don't use the word racist very often. In fact, actually, you're right. Actually, I'm probably using it incorrectly now. Let's call it xenophobic today, not racist. We'll call it xenophobic. You're actually right about that today. Who said that? Josh, well done. It is more xenophobic today. Thank you for correcting that language. Sometimes I do use racism as a term that's too broad. That's probably fair. Sorry for being defensive about that. Good criticism, Josh. Josh, whoever you are on TikTok. But let's start first with some jobs numbers. Let me pop this over here. And Fox Business, I don't think they were prepared for this morning.
Move right now as we just got the November ADP numbers crossing the tape right now. An unexpected loss of jobs. Cheryl Casoni, tell us more.
We did. We got a loss of 32,000 jobs, which in a way markets may want it to have seen because that gives you a better shot at a rate cut for December or more of a confirmation of that. The expectation was 10,000. They also revised for October up to 47,000 from 42,000. At this point, we're still seeing about an 85% chance of a quarter rate point next week, excuse me. But again,
great news, guys. This is right. We got jobs numbers are so bad they might have to cut rates. That's great news. So they're going to sell this as a win. They're going to be like, look, guys, we're getting those rates down. And all that's going to do is allow Trump's friends to refinance their debt and try and get out of the absolute mess that they've left.
And this is the private sector job market. This is 500,000 U.S. employers. This is the freshest data that the Fed's really going to get on jobs, Maria, ahead of that decision.
You know, it's interesting, Cheryl, to see this market rally on this news because I guess it's confirming to some investors that the Fed has to cut rates.
Yep. This is why I was looking at the Fed funds futures, which are actually still moving as I'm talking to you, and they're moving up. The chances are actually heading up. Right now, the two-year yield is falling right now. But again, yes, this gives the Fed more of a push for that quarter point cut.
All right, a decline of 32,000 jobs in the month of November. Marcus Lemonis, your reaction?
Now, please remember that these are not the official jobs numbers. These are the ADP jobs numbers. I don't even know if we'll get official jobs numbers, but it's important to remember what they just said because you're going to be gaslit by the Trump administration here in a little bit. These are private sector jobs that we're talking about.
Well, I think I expected a little bit of it because you didn't see all the retail hiring that everybody anticipated. But when we had this happen under the Biden administration, we had an emergency 50-point rate cut.
Right.
Now we're debating a 25 cut.
Well, therein lies the 101-point rally in the Dow Jones Industrial Average.
That's not enough.
On this news.
Not enough.
All right, meanwhile, there's this. Data centers are setting up shops in small towns across.
All right. That was a weird cut the way they had that. Interesting when rate drops for everyone in the country. Yeah, they do drop. This is the thing. Like, that's all we're saying, though. The rate drops are fine. But the reason that they're saying now that they will drop the rates is not because things are going well. It's because things are going poorly. That's why. You guys are all on your same shit today. Listen, you might not be here for long. I'm not super worried about numbers today, viewers today. I'm not worried about any of that shit today because things aren't going well, and we have an absolute lunatic at the helm. And all of this, while it's painfully obvious that this administration's plan isn't working. Yeah, it's Joe Biden. That's all they're gonna say. I don't know how much longer you dipshits are gonna let them get away with that. But here's Howard Lutnick trying to play that same game, and he's gonna lie to you. Now he's gonna gaslight you and tell you everything's great. And if you're the person who this gaslighting works on, that explains why you voted for Trump. It's all vibes and feelings and cult shit.
These trade negotiations and deals. I do want to ask you about the recent economic data, because today we learned that the private sector is losing jobs. Small business getting hit really hard. Negative number in front of ADP. And one of the reasons that they cite is tariffs. So do you worry about some of the economic fallout here as these tariffs really take hold?
No, it's not tariffs. Remember, you had the Democratic shutdown, right? And
oh, yeah. Guys, it was the government shutdown that caused these private sector job losses that the Democrats caused. That's it. That's what it is. We're just going to be gaslit on that. Congrats, Republic. This is what you guys have. This is what you have to offer today. Just come out and be honest. Just come out and be honest. If you're going to still double down on the tariffs, come out and say, yeah, tariffs are hurting jobs right now. Here's our plan so that the tariffs don't hurt it long term. We think this is a short-term problem that will be fixed in the long term, and here's our plan. But this same guy in January was telling us that jobs would be increasing and that the economy would be booming by the middle of the year. And then it was by quarter 3, and then it was by quarter 4, and now it's by halfway through next year. And when we get to the half point next year and it's still not working, they'll just kick the can down the road again. You had JD Vance now saying this. All these people in January like, here comes the boom, here it comes. We're going to have this massive explosion of growth. And in April and May and June, they're like, look at all this growth we're having. And now they're like, oh, yeah, we're still waiting. It'll probably happen at some point. It's going to be next year.
What do you think happens to small business? The people who do business with the U.S. government, they know they're not getting paid, so they sort of slow down their projects. So you saw a little bit even of construction of small business down. So the Democratic shutdown hurt the numbers. And then remember, as you deport people, that's going to suppress private job numbers of small businesses. But they'll rebalance and they'll regrow. So I think this is just...
When? This has been the worst jobs year on record since Trump was in office last time. This is terrible.
A near-term event, and you'll see as the numbers come through over the next couple of months, you'll see that all pass. And next year, the numbers...
By the way, what also is happening during this time? The richest people in America are getting more rich. Can you tie those two things together? How would it be that the richest people are getting rich while we're cutting jobs? Oh, they're eliminating payroll and they're keeping that money for themselves. And what are they all advocating for? AI. We've got to adopt AI. We've got to bring in AI, which is going to remove more jobs and put more money in their pockets. Whatever you MAGA folks are doing here for jobs, like very few of your jobs are going to be safe. Very, very few are going to be safe. Yeah, hopefully you're working in something like, plumbing, or you're an electrician. And eventually they'll try and replace that with AI. They'll try and replace you with robots. Where's my Doge check? It's in the mail. It's on its way. It'll be there with a copy of Trump's new healthcare plan. It's on the way.
Are going to be fantastic. I think because the jobs of building in America, as Donald Trump talks about, President Trump talks about the huge construction projects coming to America. I think you're going to...
I'm not doing Miss Fisted Trouble today. You're gone. I'm not dealing with you today. Somebody on TikTok get rid of Miss Fisted Trouble. I said we're not doing racist, xenophobic shit today. That's all you want to do. I don't want to deal with you today. You're gone today. You can come back tomorrow.
See GDP next year, superb, over 4%.
I mean...
Yeah. So the Gaslight Express has begun. It'll continue throughout the day. Then now they're starting to say, here's our healthcare plan. Here's what Roger Marshall is saying their plans are now for the Republican healthcare plan. This will fix it.
There, empowering patients to become consumers again. Look, women make 80% of the healthcare decisions for families. And by empowering them, by showing them prices and putting money in their pocket, rather than asking, does my insurance coverage cover this or not, it's going to start bringing prices down. But there's more to it. We do need some type of reinsurance.
Somebody explain the economics behind this. Explain the economics. If the government is giving you a subsidy that they're sending to the insurance company to help pay for your health care, and their solution is that they're no longer going to send that money to the healthcare company, they're going to send it to you instead so you can use it to pay for healthcare. How's that different? Just extra steps? We're taking the extra step now, either through direct deposit or through a check, to send that money to the consumer so they can then send that money to the healthcare company? Somebody explain to me economically how this fixes something. I'm trying to figure out what the fuck they're talking about. Like, what does this fix? What he's saying is, like, it empowers people. To what? To pay their bill that's already being paid?
Cover this or not, it's going to start bringing prices down. But there's more to it. We do need some type of reinsurance pool to take care of the high-risk people. We would like to have association health care plans.
Now they're just saying it. People that are high risk, we're not gonna cover them. We got to cut. The only way to bring down healthcare costs is to move them off of healthcare. Then we'll create a program somewhere down the road to take care of them. It's the same thing. What's
welcome
that?
Ash Raiders on TikTok.
Welcome who?
Ash.
Oh, Ash. Oh, thanks everybody coming from the Ash Red. Appreciate it. All in the name of what? Billionaires making more money? There's just no way any of you are actually happy with this. I think it's a pride thing at this point.
Plans, we're saying Amazon or a Costco, someone like that, could sell health plans across state plans and use the power of bringing lots of people together as well. So it's not one.
That's not a plan. Maybe Amazon or Costco could do it. That's not a plan. There's no plan. They're just going to stop paying for sick people. They don't want to cover sick people anymore. So they're like, oh, what if we just didn't do it and maybe Costco or Amazon will pick it up.
Silver bullet, but there's lots of things we can do to help bring the real cost of healthcare down, not just floating it to the government to make up the difference. So
there's your healthcare plan, apparently. Their plan is to take the subsidies and give them to you instead. So I guess maybe you can just choose not to spend it on healthcare. I don't know how they're going to issue that. That's the whole plan. Cool. That'll drive down prices for sure. That'll for sure drive prices down. Meanwhile, the rest of the world that isn't run by fucking idiots is figuring some shit out. Here is Ursula von der Leyen. She's the president of the European Union, announcing that they are going to further end their reliance on fossil fuels from Russia, but also showing some statistics that show, once again, the United States, led by conservatives, is lacking in innovation. We're falling behind. It seems to be that the only thing we're best at is innovating in the most expensive, least effective way, and refusing to adapt to new energy solutions. That seems to be what we're winning. Oh, and picking fights and trying to go to war. We're pretty good at that, too.
Oil imports are down from 26% to 2% today. I always knew that we could deliver with unity, with resolve.
So that's talking about Russian oil. They're down to 2% is all they're getting from Russia now.
And by building on the extraordinary work of the past 3 years. With our Repower EU plan, we overcame the worst energy crisis in decades. We saved energy together while ensuring energy security all the way. We diversified our suppliers to trusted partner, signing new partnerships, and we invested in renewables and nuclear at unprecedented speed. Today, half of our electricity comes from renewables, and if you...
Half of their energy is renewable. That means you don't pay for it. It's a one-time investment. Half. And in America, we're like, we should completely get rid of renewable energy. China, every year, the amount of renewable energy they use goes up, or as a percentage of energy production. It goes up every year in renewable energy. This is going to be the first administration in a long time where renewable energy has gone down. Why? Because they've convinced a bunch of dumb motherfuckers that climate change isn't real, and because renewable energy... like, it does have something to do with climate change for some people, but for me, like, throw out climate change. Throw it out. I want cheap, renewable energy. I want clean air, and I want cheap energy. And there's nothing cheaper than free. So if I pay for some solar panels and they power my house, and I put in a battery, I've got to pay for the solar panels and the battery, and then I'm good. I'm not paying a monthly bill anymore. Somehow Republicans have convinced you to do things that are against your own interests because they're trying to twig you about climate change. Ridiculous. Colorado kept sold solar for 5 years, and there are so many problems with it. It's not the way. Yeah, dude, shut the fuck up, Kev. I worked for probably the same companies you did. And you know who knows the least about solar is the people that are selling it. Yeah, there's problems, Kevin, but I've had solar at my house now for 6 years. And guess what? My energy bill was $600, and now it's $100. And I've never had any problems at all with it. Not one. Everything has problems, Kev. Everything has problems. Don't be a dipshit Republican. By the way, those 5 years you sold solar, you're welcome. You're welcome for all that socialism that you got paid doing. Like, I don't know if you know that. You got all your money from the government. That's how your company existed. I don't know if you were with Solar City or with Vivint or one of the smaller ones, but you're welcome for living off the taxpayer dime for 5 years, Kev. If it's worth it, why does it need to be subsidized? Kev, this is how it works, bud. People don't have that upfront money, and the government wants cheaper energy. The government is using taxpayer money to help people with the upfront cost. You know this. How do you not know this? You sold it, Kev. What's that subsidy for? It's for the equipment. It's very expensive. And by the way, part of the reason it's so expensive is because of the amount of money you made for selling it door to door. You know, you were making a lot of money. So part of the reason there's a subsidy and part of the reason that it's so expensive is because of you, people like you. And you had to exist because the people around this country have been convincing people that solar doesn't work. But you saw dollar signs, Kev, so you went out and did it. And it's crazy because all these solar bros that go and sell solar, they're all conservatives. They just see dollar signs and suddenly solar is okay. But then they'll be like, I'm against renewable energy. You could have taken less, Kev. But that's what we did. We had to incentivize people. We literally had to pay you guys money to go deprogram people who had been told that solar was a hoax and it would never work. And that's what you did, Kev. And when you went through training to sell solar, they taught you how to overcome the objection that solar doesn't work and it actually doesn't save money. And you probably had videos that your company created for you. There's probably like a sales book that you went through. You had daily meetings. You had training meetings where they'd be like, okay, let's practice overcoming the objection for solar doesn't work. And then you would go through your spiel to explain to them how solar actually does work. And then here you are, because you're a Trump supporter, arguing against it. My guess is you're a Trump supporter. Maybe I'm wrong about that. That's just my guess. But you sure had all those talking points down when you were selling it, Kev, didn't you? Anyways, back to the EU.
Look at the low carbon energy, so nuclear and renewables, it's 74%. And this is just the beginning. Repower EU kept us safe winter after winter. It kept the lights on in Europe's schools and hospitals.
Vero, did you hear the beginning of this? Europe is buying energy from Russia and not other not so clean countries. They're down. They were buying 50% of their oil from Russia, and they're down to 2%. The European Union is been weaning off Russian oil. So try again. Just watch the video.
It kept homes warm across the Union. So this is a true European success story. And there's another point that is important. As we slashed Russian imports of fossil fuels massively, we also cut the revenues that Russia uses to wage its war of aggression against Ukraine. We were paying to Russia.
Solar's part of it, Kev. I'm for clean. Then, like, I live in Arizona. It's great in Arizona. And then what you need to do is you need to build battery storage. So places where solar works, you can offset the cost of energy by making sure that places that have as much sun as we do, Texas, Arizona, New Mexico, California, Florida, hell, Utah, it works. There's some places it doesn't work very well. That's true. But then you use you can use wind energy. You can invest in nuclear energy. You can invest in hydro. There's all sorts of ways you can create energy. Nobody's saying that like we have to just stop using fossil fuels now. But the war on clean energy in America is one of the dumbest fucking things that we do as Americans. By turning it into a political issue, and it's only a political issue because the right is completely owned by fossil fuels. That's the only reason it's a political issue. This isn't like there's no like moral stance on this. It's just that your politicians are owned by the fossil fuel industry, so they tell you all the time that all of these renewable energy projects don't work. But they seem to work everywhere else. They seem to be working in the EU, who now generates 50% of their energy through renewable energy or renewable projects. What's the United States? What percentage of our energy is renewable? Let's see. 21%. They're way ahead of us, bud. But they're just, well, it's different in the EU. It's more sunny. What is it in China? Let's see. Where are they at now? China's at 31%, so China's ahead of us too. And they're accelerating. While installed renewable capacity now exceeds 50% of the total, fossil fuels still count for... Wait, hold on. 2023, electricity generation was 31%. Renewable share of total energy is much lower, right? While installed renewable... Oh, capacity. But they have the capacity for 51%. Okay, so they're generating 31%, but capacity is 50%. Cool.
Russia, 12 billion euros per month at the beginning of the war for fossil fuels. Now we're down to 1.5 billion per month, still too much. We aim to bring it down to zero. And my final point is, as part of its aggression, Russia has been attacking Ukraine's energy infrastructure over and over again.
Mikey, can you tell me the part of when you say miles of wind farms that don't work? Can you point to me to a specific place in America that has miles of wind farms that don't work? And we're going to fact check that for you, okay? I just need a place. You might want to look at Wyoming. You may want to look at just outside of Palm Springs in California. Just pick a place where they have miles of windmills that don't work.
After winter, in these past 3 years. Winter after winter, Europe helped keep the lights on in Ukraine. Dear Fatih, dear Dan, you both worked hard, and you remember our joint effort last year to repair, to reconnect, to stabilize Ukraine's energy system. We will do it again this year. We will help repair the damage caused by the Russian strikes. We have already provided more than 16,000 power generators and transformers. And we are stabilizing Ukraine's energy grid with over 2 gigawatts of electricity export from our union to Ukraine. We will continue to support immediate needs.
All right, there's that. Yeah, China is building coal power plants, and they're doing that so that they can continue building out renewable energy. It's a temporary measure, which we could do too. I don't mind if our government was saying we're going to drill oil and we're going to produce coal as a temporary measure, and here's our goal that in 10 years we'll be off coal and we'll be off oil, or we'll be off. Maybe we'll have renewable energy up to 30 or 40%. That's one thing. But what you guys are doing and what Republicans always do is you just point to things that are outliers instead of defending the absolute lunacy of the biggest dumbass administration in history. And you guys are with them. How fucking dumb do you have to be to see, like, who funds all of my politicians? Big oil? Oh, yeah, but climate change is a hoax. Renewable energy is a hoax. I wonder who would have a financial interest in convincing people that renewable energy is a hoax, that solar. I wonder who funds those commercials. I wonder who puts that research on the desk of the Republicans who go out and spout it. I wonder. No, it's just a coincidence that our biggest donor just so happens to say that everybody else makes bullshit energy and theirs is the only good one. Huh. No connection there. They're all just being honest to me. Crazy. All right. By the way, you see the European Union looking at Russia and saying, we don't want anything to do with Russia. We're going to try and cripple them by not buying their oil. Ukraine obviously has been invaded by Russia. I feel like that's important to remind you Republicans every day that, like, Ukraine was just sitting there and then Russia invaded it because they wanted their land. And somehow in Republican worlds, Ukraine has become the bad guy. And now Steve Bannon is just openly saying, hey, you know how Russia's been our enemy forever? Let's just partner with them instead and fuck everybody else.
Here's the plan. The plan is you have a devoutly Christian nation in Russia who was our ally. Let me remind people, they were our...
By the way, I don't know why Steve Bannon has background music playing. If you're wondering if there's two tabs playing, I literally was going through my whole computer like, what the fuck is playing? But he just has background music.
True ally in World War II. They lost 25 million people, soldiers, fighting the Wehrmacht. It would have taken us 10, 15 years, and who knows if we even do it with just the United Kingdom and the United States. Everybody else surrendered. The French surrendered. The Spanish were on their side. claimed neutrality. The Italians were on their side.
Yeah, why did they become our enemy after that? Because a bunch of rich oligarchs in America were afraid of communism or socialism, and so they were like, well, that's the actual enemy, an economic ideology. Somehow our enemy became an ideology, which is mostly what Republicans are now. Like your identity and ideology are your enemies, and also facts and figures and math and science and data. Those are also your enemies.
Eastern Europe was on their side. All of the Norwegians, the Swedes, all of those guys were on their side. All of them on the side of the Nazis, okay? NATO today, all the leadership didn't lift a finger except for the Poles that helped us out when and where they could. So remember, we're going against our traditional ally.
All right, let's ask that question. Great. There we go. I'm glad you're here. Les Echt. Ukraine is not as innocent as you think. Go ahead, Les Echt, and tell the class here what it is that Ukraine did to deserve to be invaded by Russia. We'll wait. Are you talking to me? Go try to live in Russia? I'm not. I don't want to live in Russia. Steve Bannon wants us to partner with him. I'm just telling you, they're not communist anymore. It's an oligarchy. It's like crony capitalism. That's not a communist country. And I do have friends in Russia, and they say the exact same thing. Where's that answer, though? Where's that answer from Levesque or whatever it was? Just tell me what it is that Ukraine did to deserve to be invaded by Russia. Because remember, as we bring up that Russia invaded them, you're like, well, they're not so innocent. Great. What did they do? Did you leave? If anybody sees the answer there, I'm sure they'll just be quiet for a while, and then they'll come back and say some dumb shit, but we'll try.
By the way, the guys that stopped the Ottoman...
Great. What's corrupt about Ukraine, Kevin? You guys, are you all Russian bots? Russia's by far the most corrupt country on earth. By far. We might be close. We might be there's a real shot we're number 2. All of our friends are all of the most corrupt governments are all of Donald Trump's friends. Russia, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Israel. All of Donald Trump's favorite countries are literally the most corrupt ones. And you're pointing at Ukraine. The corruption in Ukraine, if you go look at the history of the corruption in Ukraine, it's mostly been Russian plants trying to get people in Ukraine to turn on Ukraine and go back to being Russia. That's mostly what it is. I don't think China. Listen, I don't think China's more corrupt than Russia or the United States. I really don't. I think China's plenty corrupt. I truly, you sell me on it. Sell me on China being more corrupt. And I think your response to that's going to be like, come on, man. I think every Republican right now, when you hear me say that, you're like, yeah, China, come on, dude. You know China's the worst. But you're not going to know. I very well could be wrong. But tell me why I'm supposed to. Like, Vladimir Putin kills all of his political enemies. He just takes over businesses. He interferes more than China does in American politics. Yeah, there it is. The Bidens were making a killing. See, you don't know anything about any of these countries. Where are we at? Nobody's saying Ukraine's a great country. Ukraine's better than Russia. The question was, why did Ukraine deserve to be invaded? No answers there? Yeah, there you go, Joe. Well, Ukraine's the most corrupt because Hunter Biden. Of course. That's what it is. But Biden, our government, this president we have right now is the most corrupt politician in American history by miles. Everybody in the world is concerned about Donald Trump right now because of his blatant corruption and Americans' inability to see it for what it is. Yeah, Moose. By the way, you're talking about the Donbass. A majority of the people in the Donbass do not identify as Russia. But did you know, Moose Duty, this will be a fun little fact for you, that there was a plan by Russia to infiltrate the Donbass region and to start spreading misinformation and try and there was a whole propaganda campaign in the Donbass region to get them to want to secede from Ukraine and become Russia. And you know who was actually involved in that moose duty? A man named Paul Manafort, Trump's first campaign manager. Paul Manafort's job was to help oversee that project, and he was on the Russian payroll. You all are just repeating Russian propaganda. It's embarrassing. These are not your own thoughts. You all know these aren't your own thoughts. These are just things that you've heard and you're repeating. Russia invaded Ukraine, and I'm still asking for, like, what reason did Russia have to invade Ukraine? Well, because some people in Ukraine wanted to be Russia. Cool, move. Cool. Why didn't Russia just let those people move to Russia? Because Russia wanted the Donbass. That's why. That's a good point, Anachronista. Putin said that World War III would be fought with disinformation, and that's how we got here. It's exactly how we got here. Now we're just indiscriminately bombing, and these MAGAs are so far lost in propaganda, they don't know their heads from their ass. And that's why it's going to be a frustrating day today. Because this is obvious in real time. Like, it is blatantly obvious what they're doing. And you guys you're like, I'm not going to believe it. I'm not going to believe it. I'm going to stick to the talking points. That Ukraine's actually bad. Joe Biden is bad. China is bad. You know who's not so bad? The Saudis. Remember that one time Jamal Khashoggi started interviewing Donald Trump's son-in-law about his corrupt dealings in the Middle East. And then he went over to Saudi Arabia and they just murdered him. And then Trump didn't do anything about it. He just was like, eh. And now he's buds with them. He's doing investments with them. Remember that? I don't know anything about that. Yeah, of course you don't know anything about that. All of Trump's friends are dictators. And we tried to warn you he'd be a dictator. And I think that the reality is the only reason you're not admitting that he's a dictator is because you don't want to admit to us that you were wrong, but it doesn't bother you that he's a dictator.
Turks, stop Napoleon, stop Hitler, just to name just a couple, three off the top of my head. I think I want to be in business with those guys, not these feckless, hapless, atheistic, who are being overrun by Islam. They can't sell a 30-year bond right now. You know why they can't sell a 30-year bond? They can't sell a 30-year bond because...
Massive Muslim community in Russia, by the way. Massive. Massive over in eastern Russia. Notice how he's not talking about all the Muslims in eastern Russia. They're scapegoating. He knows right now that there's this Islamophobia that's just boiling in America. And so he's giving you the buzzwords right now. Giving you the buzzwords. I didn't vote for Obama twice. I worked for Mitt Romney during that time. So suck my balls. I was a Republican at that time. You can look it up.
Nobody knows who's going to be in charge in 30 years. And maybe the
cue the response. Mitt Romney, Rhino. I think I can nail it.
Muslims don't want to, don't want to be charged interest, so they're going to stiff you on the payment. Those countries are collapsing.
It's a good point. Atheist Muslims is weird. That's a weird thing to say.
In front of us, they have nothing, and we're supposed to kowtow to them? No, it's ridiculous. It's time now to look, see what we see, and start taking action, action, action. Recall Kelly today. He's a tough guy. He's going on, was it Jimmy Kimmel or Colbert, one of the shows last night, talking more smack? Pete, you're Secretary of frickin' War. Recall this guy today.
Yeah, anybody who speaks out about this administration, bring them in. Charge them. Charge them. All you maggots just sit there. Yeah. Charge them. Oh, I love this fascism. Oh, freedom. I don't know why that music is in the background. I don't know if it was like his kid sitting back there, like doing a live show. I have no idea. All right, let's get to more incompetence. I think that this administration, I said it last week, and I think I'm right. I think they're trying to oust Kash Patel right now. Miranda Devine in the New York Post, which is a right-wing slop magazine, they're going after Kash Patel. And they're going to try and pin all this Epstein stuff on Kash Patel. It's clear that like Pam Bondi, like, no, we can put this on Kash. And then you'll get to also be like, oh, look at Kash Patel, another brown person. See, we can't trust him. This is from the New York Post today. Damning report labels FBI rudderless ship under Kash Patel, with he and Dan Bongino more concerned with building personal resumes. We covered this yesterday, but according to this report, 80% of the people that were surveyed do not trust Kash Patel that work in the FBI. Another source, a self-professed Trump supporter, said Patel is not very good, maybe insecure, and lacks the requisite experience or the measured self-confidence to be FBI director. FBI agents, and then this, FBI agents at the Salt Lake City field office busy working on the Charlie Kirk case had to stop and ask around to find an FBI raid jacket, a medium-sized one that would fit. Now, listen, this is a right-wing, we love Trump magazine. You can call this whatever you want. You can say that this is fake. You can say that this is tabloid journalism. You may or may not be right, but it's coming from the right. They're citing these sources from the right. Boy, they're upset today, aren't they? Woo, boy, are they upset today. When a jacket belonging to a female agent was delivered to Patel on the plane, he complained that 2 areas on the upper sleeves did not have Velcro patches attached. Which is, they're just, you see what they're doing, right? Medium, jacket belonging to a female agent. Like, they're purposely trying to diss this dude. Purposely trying to diss him. So this is, don't get mad at us. Don't get mad at us over on the left. This is you guys. This is Rupert Murdoch's magazine. I think they're setting him up. And Ingram, Laura Ingram, she's bringing him on. She is the same, like, she is against brown people openly.
Yeah, did you turn off VPN?
Yeah. I'm not getting any notification on any of that.
Yeah, it's buffering on YouTube and TikTok.
They said we're back on TikTok.
Okay, it looks like it's back.
Okay. Sorry about that. I don't know what's going on. Well, maybe we know what's going down.
Is that true? And does fashion really make the man, Kash?
It's 100% false. As you know, look, Laura, sadly, I was at 9/11 at Ground Zero in New York City on 9/11 because I was a White House representative honoring those.
Yeah. He's doing 9/11. Guys, before I answer that question, 9/11 was bad. He's just doing the Family Guy bit. 9/11 is bad, guys. Remember, and I was there to commemorate the folks from 9/11. It was bad. Hey, Howdy said, fix it. Thank you. Amy said, we're becoming more dependent on other countries. We lost 4% of our oil rigs since Trump came in. Norma Joe says, thank you. This is cathartic. Love Zora from NYC. Appreciate you guys. Got those
victims and their names being read. You were very familiar with that. Then we made the immediate decision after Charlie got shot in the neck to fly to Utah unexpectedly to lead the manhunt to find the perpetrator in less than 33 hours because the FBI cut video, put it out in a press conference, and these people are worried about what I was.
Wasn't it local authorities that caught him? Did they really catch him? Like, he turned himself in and he's pleading not guilty? We still don't even know. But I don't think it was the FBI that did that.
Wearing what patches I was wearing.
Somebody correct me. I don't remember. It's been a while, but I thought it was local authorities that were doing the investigation. It's a state case. It's not a federal case. I don't think it was the FBI. Could be wrong.
I was honoring my men and women at the FBI. One of my agents handed me a jacket and said, hey, boss, you should probably wear this. We're going into the command center.
Yeah.
I'd be honored to wear that. And then
Actually, it was somebody else who suggested it, and I said, it would be an honor. Thank you. I'm such a great leader. I wanted to point out there, it would be an honor to wear this jacket. Bullshit. None of this happened. There's no fucking way this happened.
Another one handed me the SWAT team badge of the unit that was protecting the area where Charlie was assassinated.
Come on. Did somebody from SWAT's like, here's a badge. It'll look real nice on your jacket. No fucking way this happened. There's no way that this happened. No chance.
that with pride. These people can talk about my appearances all they want, but look at the results. The FBI, this FBI, my FBI, the one that Dan and I are building here under President Trump.
Pops, I don't think his family has come out and said that they didn't turn him in, but they were like persuaded for, they talked him into turning himself in, but I don't think I think he turned himself in.
Is succeeding in ways that no FBI has ever done so before. So the institutionalists and the anonymous reporters from the swamp D.C. bureaucracy are the ones we are crushing. And that's how I know we're winning. And if Eric Swalwell wants to come...
We're winning. What are you... Who's we? What are you winning? What are you talking about? What? That's how I know we're winning? Excuse me? Dude, you work for the fucking FBI. You're not an elected official. What are you winning? But then this is why I don't respect Kash Patel. There's a lot of reasons, but my number one reason for not respecting Kash Patel, and this deserves criticism for all of you because this is a petty reason not to like him. He sucks at talking shit. He got roasted because everybody's like, "Hey, medium, huh? Hey, Kash, you better get a medium." And by the way, where are we at? 118. If you look. It's not exactly tight. That medium jacket is not exactly tight on Kash. He could have went small. But after he gets roasted by everybody, and Eric Swalwell, who always gets under his skin, he's like, I'm going to sign off. I'm going to talk some shit. And it's pathetic.
We are crushing. And that's how I know we're winning. And if Eric Swalwell wants to come online and talk about what jacket size I wear, I'm happy to send him a women's medium so him and Fang Fang can go out again.
Nice. Is that your women's medium that you're sending? You're going to send his ex-girlfriend a jacket who I think was accused of being a Chinese spy? Nice, Kash. Got him there. All right. Why do we care? Somebody said, why do we care about this? Here's why we care about this. Because this administration is going to bury this guy. They're incredibly corrupt. And they'll scapegoat anybody but Donald Trump. They do it every time. How many FBI directors did Donald Trump go through the first time? How many attorney generals did he go through? How many secretaries of defense did he go through? This guy blows through appointees because every time something goes wrong, he just buries them. And it's one of two things. Either he's doing it so that he doesn't get in trouble, or he hires the most incompetent people possible, which is definitely true with Kash Patel. It could be incompetence, it could be both. But Kash Patel is the whole FBI thinks he's a joke. The only people who still don't think he's a joke are people who, in this chat, who are upset with me. They're like, I have to believe the opposite of what he says. I don't think Trump thinks he's doing a good job. And then this, one more question from Laura Ingram here. Because they're going to pin, like I said, they're going to pin the Epstein stuff and the lack of transparency on him. They're going to tell you Republicans, hey, remember that part where Trump threatened anybody who voted to release the Epstein files? Remember when he did that and for months Republicans were afraid to vote to release the Epstein files? Let's forget about that, and we're going to say that this was Kash Patel's fault instead. Let's just do that. And remember, when anybody brings that up, point out that he said release the Epstein files like 4 months later after there was plenty of votes. Just point that out. And don't worry, Republicans are dumb enough, they'll believe that.
Mr. Director, our viewers also are just, they're chomping at the bit on why it took the Epstein files so long to be released. Any regrets there? Was that an unforced error? Just should we have gotten them out earlier? Just get them all out there? Just thought I'd give you a chance to react to that.
Yeah, look, this FBI has produced 40,000 pages of documents to Congress. To put that in comparison, Wray put out 13,000 in 7 years, and Comey put out 3,000. We're committed to transparency.
Yeah, but you didn't release them. Yeah, we gave them a lot of papers. We've given them more papers than Christopher Wray did. All right, but why'd you take so long? Why'd you drag your feet? That was the question. Why'd you drag your feet? Right? Not how many pages did you put out? By the way, those were mostly redacted.
We're putting out as much as we can that is lawful and that is not.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's mostly the Democrats on the Epstein list. That's why the Republicans are voting to not release it, and Republican or Democrats are unanimously voting to release it. Do you guys ever think, like, honest to God, this is a real question. Do you ever think, you think that there's the reason that this isn't out is because there's more Democrats on. Now, the Democrats voted unanimously every single time to release this. And the Republicans only had, I think, 4 or 5 people who were willing to vote for it. They were openly going out and saying, no, we don't need to release these. Let's just let Pam Bondi and Kash Patel release them at their leisure. And you figured out a way to blame Democrats for that? That's crazy. No, don't obfuscate. No, you don't get to talk about the Biden administration. We're actually going to, Jen, can we mute the word Biden today? We're not going to let these dipshits do this. I would like to mute the word Biden today if we can do that, if that's at all possible. You don't get to say that today. You have to talk to us about what's going on right fucking now.
Prohibited by court orders. And those are the things the DOJ is fighting still with judges and
possible.
Okay, let's see if we can do that.
Court to make sure we can reveal everything without breaking the law. And that's what we're committed to doing. We're doing it as fast as we can, and we're going to keep doing it, not just on this, but
No, I agree. Both sides are on that list, but only one side voted for months to not release it. Try and keep up. And by the way, we don't care if Democrats are on that list. We don't care one bit. Any Democrat that had anything to do with Jeffrey Epstein trafficking or abusing children, you will hear us denounce them, and nobody in this audience will back them up. We literally don't give a fuck. It could be the entire fucking party. We don't give a fuck. This is just you projecting right now, because you know that Donald Trump is listed in there more than any other person. Maybe you don't know that. Well, here's some news for you. With what we've read so far, Donald Trump is the most named person in all of the files. So this is just you projecting because you don't want Donald to be in them. And the longer they drag this out, the longer you don't have to admit that this corrupt dirtbag is the guy that you signed your name next to. This is all projection. We don't give a fuck. If 100% of members of Congress are on the Epstein files and they did something to help or cover up abuse, get rid of them tomorrow. Nobody's going to give a shit. Not one person's going to give a shit.
Know about Arctic frost because of this FBI's discovery of the illegal surveillance of senators and staffers. You know about Russiagate? Because
is my mic fucked up today? Am I having mic problems today? I might have just been too close, so it was a little choppy. I'll pull it away from my face a little bit.
Mine and Devin's work from back in day, and we're going to continue those investigations, and you bet we have ongoing criminal investigations on both those fronts, because the guy who launched Russiagate, me, as a senior staffer back in House Intel, is now the director of the FBI, and I'm not going to end this mission without destroying and leveling the full weaponization that occurred before I got here.
Yeah, but that wasn't the question you were asked, is it, old bug eyes? It's just my voice. I can't fix that. Sorry, Richmond. I get that complaint a lot. I appreciate that. Yeah, just deflects, doesn't answer the question. He's cooked. I don't know why you guys let your Republican people just avoid questions all the fucking time. You can't say that about me. I criticized Jasmine Crockett a couple weeks ago. I criticize Democrats for avoiding questions all the time. If you can't look at that and say, this guy's clearly not answering questions and that bothers me, then you're just a partisan, and I don't think anybody should take you seriously. All right, here's an announcement Trump made, and good Lord, you guys are going to freak the fuck out about this because you're like, he's investing in children and you're criticizing it? No. I like this idea. Donald Trump is announcing a new program for like all newborn kids that they're going to get $1,000, and it's going to go into an investment account, and they can take it out, I think, when they're 25. And that account is going to be at the discretion of the executive branch. That's the thing I've got a problem with. I don't think the executive branch should be directing the investments. I think that this should be covered by, I think that you should take it outside of the government, that the government should have no say in any of this. But he's announcing now a donation from Dell, which is $7 billion, and he's going to get to pick which stocks go in that account. So that means he's got $7 billion to invest in stock in his friends' companies now, and he's the one that gets to choose.
In honor of America's 250th anniversary, the Dells are announcing today that they are giving 25 million American children $250 each to save and to invest in their personal Trump account.
Susan and I are super excited to announce our $6.25 billion gift to 25 million American children.
When children have a future that they can see is worth saving for, then that will help build hope and opportunity and prosperity for generations to come.
We are going to make sure that all American families have a stake in the success of the United States of America.
We're just getting started. Today is day one. This is an extraordinary contribution, but it's the beginning of a drumbeat you're going to hear for the next 6 months leading up to the 250th anniversary of the country. I don't think there's anybody in the country who won't have heard about this.
And this will be one of the many marquee achievements of the Trump administration.
Yeah. If you paint something as for the children, nobody's going to care that it's corrupt. And that's what Trump does so very well. Is he paints things as patriotism, or he paints things as America first. And the idea of America first, or the idea of patriotism, or the idea of giving children an investment account when they're born sounds good. And so then what that enables his followers to do is say, all you ever do is complain about Trump. You'll never accept that anything he does is good. The problem is every time he does something, there's some little back door for corruption. Somebody mentioned sideloading earlier. I don't know if these are like sideload accounts, which is, I think you're trying to say like, it's like a manipulated account. I don't know the mechanism and how they're going to invest it, but if it's at the discretion of the executive branch, this is, even if Trump wasn't corrupt, even if he wasn't, the next guy could be, and the next guy after that could be. And I say guy because let's be realistic. This is America and Republicans still exist, but like whoever's next, they could be corrupt. You should not give the executive branch control over investing in these accounts that are supposed to go to kids. By the way, $7 billion, but we can't tax these people, right? They've got $7 billion to give Trump to invest in his buddies' companies, but we can't tax them more, right? Otherwise, they'll go somewhere else. Just think for 1 second. MAGA, in your mind right now, imagine I told you that there was an investment account set up, $1,000 for each one of your kids or potential kids. Anybody born, I think, starting next year. I think it kicks off next year. And then I said, and what Michael Dell wrote a check to, who do you guys hate the most, right? Tim Walz. Let's say Tim Walz is president. And I say, Michael Dell wrote a check to Tim Walz, and Tim Walz is going to invest it for your kids. And he gets to pick and choose where that money goes. Would you be cool with that? Would any of you be cool with, honestly, just Trumpers, would you be cool with $7 billion in the hands of Tim Walz investing for your children? I wouldn't. I like Tim Walz. I think you guys are ridiculous with Tim Walz. We can disagree on that. But like, I don't want that guy making the decision by himself. Just think about, like, get outside of the Trump part of it. Get outside of the MAGA part of it. Get outside of the duopoly. Do you think it's a good idea to give the President of the United States unilateral control of an investment account that your children are going to rely on? The answer to that, pre-Trump, 100% of us would have said no. But now that it's Trump and he can do no wrong, you're like, yeah, this is a good idea. Again, he paints something. He paints this picture of, I care so much about your kids that you forget to keep looking like, wait, what? Hold on, what's he doing? He controls the money, so he can just like he can invest in the people that give him money. So when Meta comes and gives him, they said they're going to give him $500 billion. You don't think that he's going to invest in Meta stock or Nvidia stock or Intel stock? What's he going to do? What about if Boeing has a down year? What if Boeing's struggling? Hey, Mr. President, we'll kick you a couple $1 million. Could you help us out with our stock? Suddenly, overnight. Oh, look, $500 million now invested in Boeing. Look at their stock price. And it's the government's money. So then people are like, well, if the government's investing, I'm going to invest. So they invest too. There's like this pattern that goes along with it. Anybody who follows like what the government's doing, because that's guaranteed money, they're gonna follow that same trade. You cannot ignore corruption any longer, Republicans. You can't pretend it's not happening because you don't like me, or you don't like us, or you don't like Tim Walz, or you love Donald Trump. You can't just keep ignoring this. It's getting honestly pathetic at this point. Robin said, what did Melania call Trump when he took a Viagra? A rigged erection. Ryan said, thank you for keeping us sane against MAGA BS. Jen showed me nobody can say Biden. Oh, I love that so much. Johnny said, I'll pull it away from my face a little bit. Thanks, Johnny. Sorry about that. What about the money sent to the Somalis? Well, I'll cover that story later today. So I know you guys are anxious to hear that, Republicans. We'll talk about the story. It wasn't sent to the Somalis. It was sent to Minnesota. But we'll talk about the lies that you're being fed today about the Somalis. So we'll get back there. And I do want you to just remember that I said this right now. I'm going to cover the story honestly. I'm going to give you the real numbers. And I'm going to show you Donald Trump and JD Vance lying to you about the numbers. And at the end of this, you're still going to think that they are to be trusted, and I'm not. I'm going to give you the actual data, the same studies that they're citing, and they're going to lie and tell you one number, and I'm going to show you the real number, and you will still prefer them over me, you cucky little bitches. Well, but we just like him so much that when he lies, it's better than someone else telling us the truth. But we'll get there. All right. I'll show you this. The most corrupt state in the country, without a doubt, you guys can talk about Minnesota all you want, is Florida. Your senator, by the way, while we're talking about Minnesota and we're talking about Medicare fraud, the senator from Florida, Rick Scott, perpetrated the largest, I think it was Medicaid fraud in the history of our country. Like something like $2 billion. And after he did that, Florida elected him to be their senator. Ron DeSantis has been caught funneling taxpayer money to his wife's pockets. And you guys don't give a fuck about that. Byron Donalds now, who is being crazily criticized now by Ron DeSantis, is also a crook. Florida is the most corrupt state. Go look. When you were done today, go to YouTube and type in Miami corruption and look what their city council has done. And look at who they're in bed with, by the way. Same people that Trump's in bed with, the Saudis. Everybody gets, every time somebody gets in bed with the Saudis, here comes the corruption.
Popularity of classical charter schools. They're funded by taxpayers and often tout a more...
Sorry, Drag was calling out Kevin for being a chicken again. All chirp, no spine. Oh, that's the same Kevin? Oh, it's the same coward Kevin from yesterday?
Traditional curriculum than regular public schools. But a CBS News investigation found there is limited oversight of these schools, including their finances. Here's Mark Strassman.
Oh, no way. You're telling me that when the Republicans said we're going to take money out of public schools and let parents make the choice, that people took advantage of that and corrupted it and started making profit on their own and didn't deliver on their promises, and now kids aren't getting education, but we've already spent that money? That's crazy. Who could have seen that coming? Yeah, UFC and boxing is also corrupt. So is Live Golf. Yeah, so is the Premier League. So is FIFA. Yeah, they're all corrupt. 100%.
Second grade, Brianna Hatley's daughter Bella planned to switch from public school to a new charter school in Fort Myers. It was called the Optima Classical Academy.
I wanted to find an alternative, so I was really excited. Everybody was excited about it.
But in May of
By the way, this Optima Classical Academy is basically like an anti-woke school. So they teach that be proud, be only proud of your country. Don't look at any of the bad history. Focus on the good. No woke stuff, no DEI, no LGBTQ. So this parent here that is playing victim, these white woman tears here, she just wanted to pull her kid out of public school so that her kid could be a bigot.
So I was really excited. Everybody was excited about it.
But in May of 2024, parents received this email. Optima would not open as planned. It cited economic challenges and lingering instability from Hurricane Ian. Inside this building, there are no teachers, no students, no learning. It's a ghost building.
I was frustrated, I was disappointed, I was upset.
Optima's chief executive is Erica Donalds, wife of Florida Congressman Byron Donald.
What? What? A Republican? Using taxpayer money to get rich and then not delivering? What? No, it can't be.
I knew there were so many families out there that were desperate for this option.
Before launching the school in Fort Myers, she had opened 4 others in Florida. Our CBS News investigation looked into the tax filings for those 4 Optima-run schools.
Oh, yeah, how'd those go?
Between 2020 and 2023, they paid roughly 30% of the government funding they received, totaling about $35 million to outside firms that Optima said offered good prices on payroll, IT, and other back-office services. It was eventually disclosed Erica Donalds held a stake in 2 of those firms.
What? Her husband voted for this and advocated for it, and then she started these schools, and then she gave contracts to herself? What? I can't believe it. Let's talk about Minnesota some more, should we? $0 have found their way back into Tim Walz's pocket. $0 have found their way back into Ilhan Omar's pocket. But no, they're corrupt, not Florida. No, not Florida. That's not corruption.
It's worth at least $1 million.
It is absolutely problematic, but it is not atypical.
For this industry.
For this industry, no.
Yeah, no shit. I live in Arizona. We have charter schools everywhere. You know what happens to charter schools all the time? They fold. I have a good friend, Kellen, if you're out there. You guys should check out his movie. He's an independent filmmaker, by the way. I'm going to shout out his movie real quick because I'm going to talk some shit about him, but I forgot what it's called. Actually, a really good movie. He had one. It's called Blood in Them Hills. So look up Blood in Them Hills. Yeah, my friend directed that. But before my friend was finished film school at Arizona State University, shout out Sun Devils, he needed a job because he had children. So what did he do? He taught history at a charter school with no degree. Because you don't have to have a degree at this charter school. And that's where all these, I don't want my kids to be woke, so I'll go have them educated by a film student, and he'll teach them history, and it will go great. And then they close down all the time, and every time they, like if I look at, if I just Google Arizona charter school indictment, we have Arizona charter school CEO made millions while Primavera made millions while schools suffered with poor academic performance, and millions in payouts to its founder and his friends who owned contracting companies. This thing that they tell you all of the time, school choice, we need to defund the Department of Education, homeschool your kids, send your kids to non-woke schools. They're just telling you that so that you send your friends to their donors' schools so that their donors make millions of dollars, and you dumb motherfuckers bite up and you're like, oh, I'll sacrifice my kid's intelligence. That way they don't have to be woke. And then your kid comes out of school with a shitty education. You know what Arizona's ranked in education? Fucking 50th. 50th. There's only one other state that did what Arizona did. It's Oklahoma. Guess what they're ranked? 49th. And your party is taking the model from 49 and 50 and telling you that this model's better because it's not woke. They're lying to you. They don't give a fuck about wokeism. They just know that they can tell you that, and then you'll believe anything else, and so you let them do this. This is the wife of a congressman from Florida who has introduced multiple pieces of legislation trying to take money from public schools and give them to organizations like his wives. Yeah, but it's not that, though. It's not corruption. It really is about wokeism.
Professor Bruce Baker studies charter schools at the University of Miami. He told us nationally charter schools are required to provide far fewer details about how they spend taxpayer money than traditional public schools.
It's not easy at all to follow the money.
So is there any...
That's not true. I'm sometimes angry. I do hate Trump. I don't hate myself. Sometimes. I work on that, though. It's important to love yourself and everyone else who doesn't agree with me. Weirdly, Chris, there are people that come here every day that disagree with me, that are on Trump's side, and they will say that I'm like to them, or that I'm nice to them. I like Trumpers. I just want you guys to be honest. And it frustrates me when you allow yourselves to be lied to like this, because it reminds me that like my family and everybody I grew up with just allowed themselves to be lied to. Bothers me. That's probably the thing I get criticized the most, is I'm too nice to Trumpers.
Accountability.
Presumptively, the accountability is on how well they do for students.
Erica Donalds declined an interview.
Oh,
I have nothing to say about this.
Statement, a spokesperson said she is an accomplished businesswoman with a strong record of starting successful charter schools and providing thousands of students with an excellent education. Donalds is no longer involved with any of those original Optima schools.
Oh, wait. So she just set them up. They failed. She has other businesses that she funneled money through so that she got paid and then she bailed? It's not corrupt, guys. It's not corrupt at all.
Brianna Hatley tried again this year to enroll Bella at the new Optima school in Fort Myers, but it never opened. And while that school never collected any public money, Hatley says she still feels burned.
These are our kids, they're our world. So if you're gonna have a school, if you're gonna offer services, then offer them. If you're not, then just leave us alone.
Here on Florida's Gulf Coast, the Optima building has been sold to another charter operator.
All that money. All that money. And then they just go under. Byron Donald's wife got to keep all that money. There's a reason all these Republicans in Congress love Trump so much, and there's a reason he sends them down to Mar-a-Lago all the time and hosts these nice dinners. They're cleaning up. They're absolutely cleaning up. That's why Marjorie Taylor Greene, I think, is leaving. She came into Congress worth about $700,000. She's leaving worth about $30 million. It might even be more than that. What's her net worth? Cue them saying Nancy Pelosi. We get it. Let's see, Marjorie. $25 million. Sorry, overshot it by about $5 million. And yeah, insider trading happens. This happens with politicians all the time. But it's never been so obvious and so direct. Right? Like these people with no experience running a school just set up a school, funnel a bunch of money, and then come back. Find what list, Matthew? What list did you want me to find? Did I see the list in Minnesota? I don't know what list you're talking about, but we'll get to that story here in a minute. It might be what I have. If it's not, when we get to that story, was Michael, right? If what I show you isn't the list you're talking about, let me know and I'll look it up. But I will get to that story. So remind me when that happens, I'll look for your comment. All right, let's talk about the circle jerk that took place in the Oval Office yesterday, which was embarrassing. Trump's just sleeping through his own circle jerk, which is wild. Marco Rubio is sitting there complimenting him, and he's literally asleep next to him. But I want to point out a couple things. So let's start first with JD Vance. And JD Vance, he got taken under the wing of a apartheid billionaire. And JD Vance, who at some point seemed like a rational American, now is just full-on apartheid. And here's what he said in the Oval Office yesterday.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's an honor to serve with this great team that you've assembled. And I just want to pick up on something you said, Mr. President, because you hit the nail on the head. That it is absurd that Democrats talk about an affordability crisis that they created and the people around this table work every single day to address.
Oh, okay.
You'll hear a lot of statistics today. You hear a lot of statistics in our political conversation. I think the most important statistic for the American people is that under the Biden administration, the average American family lost over $3,000 of household income. And under the first 10 months of this Trump administration, they have gained over $1,000 of household income. What that said.
Wow, look at all these people nodding their heads. Yeah. JD, can you show me where the fuck that happened, bud? This is household income. Median. He said the average household income. The last time we had a dip was from 2019 to 2020. I believe Trump was in office then. Where's this dip, JD? Somebody want to show me this dip? Why is this bitch lying to you? Oh, well, he probably, yeah, this is from the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis. Where the fuck did this dip go? This should go down. I don't know, to explain for Republicans, this is the amount of money that the average family is bringing in. And so if they bring in more money on a graph, the line will go up. See, up and to the right. So to the right is like the year that we're at now, and it goes all the way back to 1984, okay? So up means more, and down means less. So JD Vance just said that from 2021 to 2024, the average household lost $4,000, except for it looks like they gained $13,000. And they're still, like, chat, they're still going to be mad at me. They're still going to be mad at me for doing my very best every day to explain to them that they're being lied to. Just a bunch of battered partners here. We're trying to get you out of an abusive relationship. You won't let it happen. I mean, even if we just look, here's 5 years. We'll narrow it down. That'll make it easier for you. Where's the dip, JD? See how they only want to talk about Tim Walz right now? Imagine that. JD Vance lies. They watch JD Vance lie to him, and they're like, can we please talk about anything else? Please? Can we please talk about anything else? No. I'm playing what, you should be happy. I'm just playing what your people are saying. Why don't you care what your people are saying? They're the ones in charge. Let's keep going.
Says very clearly is that we are fixing the problem that Joe Biden and the Democrats created in the last administration.
Oh, actually, one other thing. I wanted to point out one other thing about this chart. Sorry. If what he's saying is true, we go from 2021 to 2024, 13,000 divided by 4. That's roughly 3,000 a year. If what he's saying is true, that this year household incomes went up by $1,000, not only was he lying about people losing money under Joe Biden, but he's also there. It's also stalling. It's also not increasing at the same rate. It's increasing at a much lower rate, a third of the rate. So not only did he lie to you, he accidentally told you that, guess what? We're also doing a worse job.
If you look at every affordability crisis that's confronting the American people today, it is traceable directly to a problem caused by Joe Biden and congressional Democrats. Why did homes get so unaffordable? Because we had 20 million illegal aliens in this country taking homes that ought by right to go to American citizens.
All right, let's look at that. Let's just fact check this while we're here. So we're going to say, what were the main causes of home prices increasing between 2021 and 2024? Is that a fair question? All right. And we're going to have sources here. I'm going to show you. I'd love shout out Perplexity. By the way, for Republicans, I got a tip for you. And everybody can use this tip. But if you have PayPal and you go on PayPal right now and you sign up for Perplexity Pro for a year, you get it free if you pay with PayPal. That's pretty cool, huh? And Perplexity Pro is awesome. All right. U.S. home prices rose significantly from 2021 to 2024, primarily due to supply shortages outpacing demand and pandemic-driven shifts. That's according to NPR. Limited housing inventory was the dominant factor, as fewer homes were listed for sale compared to buyer demand. Homeowners with low-rate mortgages from the pandemic era hesitated to sell, exacerbating the shortage, while restrictive zoning laws and slow new construction, hindered by labor shortages, regulations, and rising material costs, failed to meet needs. That's according to Yahoo Investopedia, Park Place Finance, and NPR. Surging demand pressure. Early pandemic demand spiked from low mortgage rates. When we kept the rates too low, remote work trends favoring larger homes with offices and outdoor space, and shifts to the suburbs, fueling bidding wars. Institutional investors ramped up purchases. We're talking about places like BlackRock, often converting properties to rentals or short-term lets, further tightening supply for individual buyers. This is according to Forbes, Investopedia, Park Place Finance, and NPR again. Inflation also drove up construction costs, while post-2022 rate hikes slowed sales, but propped up prices by locking in existing homeowners. These dynamics created a self-reinforcing cycle where low supply elasticity amplified price sensitivity to demand surges. Okay, I'm going to move that over here, and now we've got to explain some economics to you, to some of you MAGA.
The affordability crisis that's confronting the American people today, it is traceable directly to a problem caused by Joe Biden and congressional Democrats. Why did homes get so unaffordable? Because we had 20 million illegal aliens in this country taking homes that ought by right to go to American citizens. Why did tax bills?
Okay. People who are here illegally cannot buy homes. That wouldn't drive up the price of buying a home. There also weren't 20 million people that came here. Let's see what the range is. How many? And also, most of them were not here illegally. Most of them were here legally. Let's see what the range is, though. All right. How many illegal immigrants came in during the Biden administration? 10 million migrant encounters. So not all of those even resulted in entries. Many involved expulsions, removals, or repeated attempts. Estimates of actual illegal entries, including gotaways, range from 6.7 to 8 million. Where are we getting 20 million? And that's just people that came. That, like, you have to then take the people that expulsions. So how many will there be a follow-up? How many expulsions? Let's look at this. How many inadmissible aliens were paroled or admitted during the Biden programs? 2.5 inadmissible aliens through humanitarian programs like CHNV, CBP One app, scheduling, and other categorical paroles from fiscal year 22. So the real number is 2.5. 2.5 million, but he's saying 20 million. Why do you let these dumb bitches lie to you all the time? It's not even close.
Affordable because we had 20 million illegal aliens in this country taking homes that ought by right to go to American citizens. Why did tax bills get so unaffordable? Because Democrats were raising taxes.
Johnny, I don't think it's wrong to say that immigrants can come here illegally. That doesn't mean that somebody is illegal. I do think it's I think this is one of those lefty things that we do that's a little bit silly. I do understand like the connotations with illegal immigrant and the saying that like nobody is illegal, but like the way that it's written in our laws, it says illegal aliens. And so I get what you're saying, like for a culturally, like we could pick a different term, and I try my best to say undocumented. I do think that there's validity to that statement, and we all try our best. But to say that that an immigrant came here illegally, I don't think says somebody is illegal. That just means that they came into this country without not in the proper way. I don't think that that's insulting.
While congressional Republicans under the president's leadership, we're now cutting taxes. Why did food get...
Okay, this other part here.
The president's leadership, we're now... Why did tax bills get so unaffordable? Because Democrats were raising taxes, while congressional Republicans under the president's leadership, we're now cutting taxes.
We were under Trump's tax policy the whole time. What is he talking about? This entire thing is a lie. Everything JD Vance is saying is a lie, and you've got to start asking yourselves, folks, why? Why are they lying to us? What the fuck? Like, literally, none of this is true. Objectively, none of it is true. Amy Lynn said they gave farms to South African immigrants they brought here a few months ago. Facts. I got that from Dragon Wizard. Tracy said, dipping into my daughter's incoming $250 from Dumpy to keep you going. Thank you very much. Sorry, Jen. I'll update that. Just a reminder, guys, we are crowdfunded. Anything you can do to help us knock out the gift goal would be greatly appreciated. TikTok, you know where to go. YouTube, Twitch, you all know where to go. So far, we're still up on TikTok, which is pretty cool. I think this is the longest we've lasted without a warning from TikTok, or I just missed it. That could also be possible. One other thing, if you're here, even if you don't like me, could you guys do me a favor? Will you check to make sure you're subscribed? I've stopped mentioning that because I hate doing that, but it does make a difference. When I mentioned to make sure you're subscribed wherever you're watching, it makes a big difference, and it helps us get pushed out. For the next week or so, if you guys could help us by, one, making sure that you're subscribed, but just share it. Share it on your Facebook, your Instagram story, TikTok, Twitter, wherever you are. If you could share these lives, great. Even if MAGA, if you want some backup, send it out to your MAGA friends. You're welcome here, even though you can't say Joe Biden today.
Why did food get so expensive? Because we printed trillions of dollars and threw it into green scams that made our agricultural economy suffer while Americans were paying higher prices for.
I mean, that's all insane. Yes, we printed more money. But when we did like the Infrastructure Act, we don't print that money and just hand it out. Right? Those are government contracts that get paid out over time. Those are promises to pay. If you look at the impact on the Chips and Science Act and the Inflation Reduction Act, I mean, when was it? Somebody give me the date on while I look something else up. Will somebody give me the date that the Inflation Reduction Act went into effect, Jen or the chat? If anybody knows, month and year, please. Brother, I don't know how to time anybody out. If you're getting timed out in the chat, it's because you're bothering a mod. I don't even know how to do that. But no, I don't debate you in the chat. You can come up here and debate. Do we have a date that the Inflation Reduction Act was passed? August 2022. Okay. So 2022, the annual inflation rate was 6.5. How did it go down then? If the Inflation Reduction Act increased inflation, how did it go down? Somebody want to explain that? By the way, if you look here, Biden's last year inflation was lower than this year. So they didn't bring inflation down. It's actually up from when they took over. Literally, everything JD Vance is saying is just a lie. Went into effect 2023. Thank you.
For food. On every single one of those issues, Mr. President, I think we've made incredible progress. But it would be preposterous.
No, I don't take phone calls. You go through Discord. Just download Discord. If you don't have it, message in. Phone call is annoying.
To fix every problem caused over the last 4 years in just 10 months. I think that we've done incredibly good. But what I see.
Julie, if you're here, incredibly well. I caught it. I get in trouble for saying incredibly good. Or using well and good in the wrong way. Should have been incredibly well.
Over the next year. And you heard Brooke talk about joy and gratitude. What I really think this season represents for me, and I think for the entire administration, is that we have now done incredible work to fix what Joe Biden broke. And I think the next year.
Then why is inflation going up? If you're fixing it, why is the value of the dollar down 13%? Why is inflation going up? Why did we have negative job numbers today? Fixing it, it seems like it was fine until you touched it. We were things were going well at the end of Biden's term. As soon as you guys started implementing your policies, you can see them kick in around April. All of a sudden, when your policies went into effect, things got worse. We fixed it. You'll notice that every Republican that goes out today and talks about inflation is going to say the same dumb shit. They're going to say, Joe Biden's inflation was 9% and we got it down to 3%. No, you fucking didn't. It was 3% when you took over. You can't take credit for 3%. You can't say we fixed it from 9% when it was already fixed. It's like breaking your leg, going in, seeing a doctor. They said it. They put in a cast. You come back 6 months later, and it's a different doctor. And he's like, well, I see last time you were here, your leg was broken, but it's not broken now. I guess I fixed it. Like, fuck, good job, doctor. Incredible work, doctor.
and American growth and American prosperity. Could be the best year that we've had in the United States of America. It's going to happen because we're all working hard. It's going to happen because we have the greatest country in the world. But I think for congressional Democrats in particular, if they want to talk about affordability, they ought to look in the mirror. We are fixing what they're broken. We're proud to do it. It's the job that we were elected to do. But I think 2026 is going to be the year where this economy really
Oh, now it's guys, it's 2026 now. Remember, day one, they were going to fix it. Drill, baby, drill. We're going to fix all this shit. Quarter one, they were telling us, look for these jobs. They're going to, in the summer, we saw jobs going up. They're like, this is just going to continue. This is what we expected, and it's only going to get better, 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 better. And it's all gotten worse. Matthew, literally, suck my ass, Matthew. All I've done today so far is show you proof of their lies, and you still think I'm lying. You're too goddamn dumb to be here. Okay? Here, I got you, Matthew, real quick. We're going to do something for Matthew real quick to make him feel welcome so he can figure out what's going on. Maybe he can get us we can get on the same page. But Matthew, would it help if we did something more like this for you, bud? You need to, I can't even full screen it.
Woo, you sure gotta climb a lot of steps to get to this Capitol building here in Washington. Well, I wonder who that sad little scrap of paper is.
I'm just a bill, yes, I'm only a bill, and I'm sitting here on Capitol Hill. Well, it's
This is a cartoon, Matthew, so this isn't really a bill, but this cartoon is going to explain how a bill gets passed. That's not really what it looks like. They don't like wrap it up but anyway, here you go.
a long, long journey to the capital city. It's a long, long wait while I'm sitting in committee, but I know I'll be a law someday. At least I hope and pray that I will. But today I am still just a bill.
Gee, Bill, you certainly have a lot of patience and courage.
Well, I got this far. When I started, I wasn't even a bill. I was just an idea.
All right, so you can go just look at Schoolhouse Rock. Little Baby Bum might be a good option for you. Anybody else have some options of somewhere else Matthew could go where he's not so confused by what's happening right in front of him? Jerry Mandarin says JD Vance has a cuck chair for his cuck chair. Guys, I need Baby Einstein. Maybe Baby Einstein, Matthew. That'd be a good one. A lot of votes for hell. Cocomelon, first grade, third grade, a library. You're gonna have to have your mom get you a pass. Yeah. All right. Well, Sesame Street would be good. They're woke. Sesame Street's too woke for Matthew. Good try, Matthew. Thanks for being here, bud. You're welcome to stick around, but this is gonna go right over your head. Then it's Howard Lutnick's turn to glaze, and nobody glazes like Howard Lutnick. And Howard Lutnick's going to say something that I haven't heard this administration talk about yet. I'm interested to hear their plan here.
Then we go to Japan and Korea. They offer us $750 billion in cash to build in America at the president's direction. And
he's talking about these trade deals that they went and negotiated, and these countries promised this money in cash. That's a lie. They didn't give them cash at all. They said, hey, we're comfortable. If you guys give us a good plan, we're willing to invest $300 billion in your country if it's a good plan. That's all they said. They didn't give Trump any money. That money doesn't exist yet. They've got to have a plan for it. And listen to what he says. Listen to what he says about it. Now, remember, just before he says anything, it's America first, right? We want to reshore American manufacturing jobs, and we want to hire American, and we want to keep American profits in America. We don't need foreign money. We don't need foreign investment. I just covered yesterday, we don't need Chinese investment in farms. No more foreign investment. Let the money stay here. Let's make America rich again. You guys remember that, right? Before I play the rest of this, you remember that's this administration.
I'm going to start as an example. Nuclear, right? We need to have a nuclear arsenal in America of power, the generation of power. So we're going to build hundreds of billions of dollars financed by the Japanese and the Koreans, meaning they give us the money, we build it here, and we split the cash flow 50-50. We're going to build ships, 150.
Hold on. So you're going to have nuclear power, and you're going to pay your nuclear power bill, and half of those profits are going to go overseas? Half? 50%? That's the nuclear power deal that they've worked out? That 50% of the profits are going overseas? Wow, America first, baby. There's, again, their words. I'm not making this shit up. If I was just saying this, if I said Howard Lutnick said yesterday that they were going to do nuclear energy and Japan was going to get half the profits and South Korea, you guys would all say, you're lying. Why do you lie? Because you wouldn't go fact check it. That's why I have to show the video. America first is splitting the profits with Japan and South Korea. Dope.
$1 billion worth of ships in America that changes the way things work, right? Then we go to...
Keep the personal attacks coming. That's not going to hurt. I'm going to be honest. Like, if you want to hurt my feelings, prove me wrong on something. You call it like, there's not one of you that's going to insult me in a way I haven't been insulted every day. That's what I do in this job. But what you're doing right now is projection because you're very uncomfortable with what's happening in front of your face right now. Not one of you is making any arguments for this administration. You're just saying I'm wrong. No arguments. Nobody's going to come up here, but you're welcome to. All right. Wait, did I go? Let me skip. I have this out of order real quick. I guess we could do it in this order. All right. I didn't realize this, but yesterday that press conference at the Pentagon, it was only right-wing reporters. There was nobody represented from any left-wing publication there. Who the fuck is that guy? Why do I know who that is? Anyways, during this press conference, we finally got her name. Her name is Kingsley. Kingsley Wilson. That is the most Republican name I've ever heard in my life. She was asked about I don't remember who this guy was. I think he was a producer for, it might say, I can't remember. He was a producer for some right-wing news organization. Listen to this question, because now when we're done, don't worry, we'll fact check it.
Washington Post report concerning the Secretary of War and Admiral Bradley. And my question is, does the Department of War plan on pursuing any sort of legal action against the Washington Post? And what consequences will there be for lying to the American people? Because, of course, the implication there was that Pete Hegseth and Admiral Bradley are war criminals. And that was the implication, and that's what a lot of people on social media were saying after the fact. So could you speak to that?
Yeah, it is frankly disgusting that the Washington Post would publish something that is so insanely false. And we've seen this from the mainstream media before, right? Anonymous sources that are being quoted that probably have no idea what's going on. And the Washington Post actually went so far as to falsely attribute a quote to the Secretary of War, that he never said. That is preposterous that they would write that and pass that off as true journalism. Thankfully, the New York Times stepped in and corrected the record and let the American people know that what they were publishing was absolutely fake news. So the Washington Post, I think readership should think twice before reading that outlet again. It is disgraceful that they call themselves journalists, and we told them as such, right? We get press queries like we do from all of you. We told them this story was completely fake news on Thanksgiving evening with a 3-hour deadline, and they still published it anyway. It's disgraceful, but thankfully the American people see through it.
All right. So let's cover both of these real quick then. So let's get the Washington Post story first, and let's see these lies that they're telling. Let's see all these lies that they've told. Here's what they've addressed so far. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth gave a spoken directive while they were watching the ship before they blew it up, according to 2 people with direct knowledge on the operation. So there are 2 sources here who are unnamed because they are whistleblowers, but they had direct knowledge of the operation, meaning they were either in the room or watching. And said the order was to kill everybody, one of them said. A missile screamed off the Trinidad coast, striking the vessel and igniting a blaze from bow to stern. For minutes, commanders watched the boat burning on a live drone feed. As the smoke cleared, they got a jolt. 2 survivors were clinging to the smoldering wreck. The special operations commander overseeing the September 2nd attack, the opening salvo in the Trump administration's war on suspected drug traffickers in the Western Hemisphere, ordered a second strike to comply with Hegseth's instructions. 2 people familiar with the matter said the 2 men were blown apart in the water. So 2 people said that Hegseth gave the order. The only thing that they're saying differently here is Hegseth at first denied that this happened. Trump said, I don't know anything about a second tap. Fuck the Washington Post. And then it turns out that there was a second strike. So Hegseth here is just saying, like, I guess what they're objecting to is that the order was to kill everybody, which doesn't make sense because they killed everybody. They killed everybody. So what are they even arguing here? Well, you didn't say those exact words. Okay, then why did they kill everybody? All right, going down. This report is based on interviews with and accounts from 7 people with knowledge of the September 2nd strike and the overall operation. 7 whistleblowers have come forward. Chief Pentagon spokesman Sean Parnell declined to address questions about Hegseth's order and other details of the operation, including special operations involvement. This entire narrative is completely false. Ongoing operations to dismantle narcoterrorism and to protect the homeland from deadly drugs have been a resounding success. What is false? Did you blow up a boat and then when there were 2 people swimming, you murdered them too? What's false about this? And what did the New York Times, what is she saying the New York Times corrected? Here's the New York Times section that she's saying, like, proves. According to 5 U.S. officials who spoke separately and on condition of anonymity to discuss a sensitive matter that is under investigation, Hegseth, the head of the September 2 attack, ordered a strike that would kill the people on the boat and destroy the vessel and its purported cargo of drugs. But each official said Hegseth's directive did not specifically address what should happen if a first missile turned out to not fully accomplish all those things. This doesn't conflict with the other one, right? Listen to what they're saying. They're saying he did not specifically address what would happen if a first missile turned out to not fully accomplish all of those things. Yeah, no, he just said kill everybody, and then they didn't. And the officials said his order was not a response to surveillance footage showing that at least the 2 people on the boat survived the first blast. The Washington Post didn't say that either. No, she said New York Times corrected the Washington Post. Then throw out Admiral Bradley ordered the initial missile strike and then several follow-up strikes that killed the initial survivors and sank the disabled boat. As that operation unfolded, they said Hegseth did not give any further orders to him. Those are the same. Hey, Richard, let's look at that boat, Richard. Are you quoting something that's real? I'm not 100% sure on this, but Richard, I look forward to your apology if you're wrong here real fast. Let me find... By the way, Richard, also nobody's saying right now that, like, all of these reports are saying that these were drug boats, but you said the boat had 4 engines on it. What's this one from? It's December 1st. I think I see, is it 3 or 4? Could be 4. By the way, Trump said 5. That's why I was going to ask. Okay. So neither of those reports are saying that it wasn't a drug boat. Now, I don't know if it was a drug boat or not. I don't have the evidence that it's a drug boat, but everybody involved says it's a drug boat. So for now, that's what we'll have to go with. But I would just point out that we don't actually know that yet. And they've destroyed all of the evidence. So we're never going to know. So you're just asking us to trust the government, which you're doing. And that's fine. You can trust the government if you want. I just don't want to hear about it when you guys go, you trust the government? All right. Trump was asked about it during the circle jerk. Here's what he had to say. By the way, he's losing his mind. He's absolutely losing it. You'll have Trump and Hegseth here now explaining. So just now knowing what the Washington Post said, I just want to know what the Washington Post got wrong. They're still saying the Washington Post lied. They're still telling you never to read the Washington Post again. Don't read them. You should think about it because they're liars. And nothing so far that the Washington Post said seems to be a lie.
It wasn't 1 strike, 2 strikes, 3 strikes. Somebody asked me a question about the second strike. I didn't know about the second strike. I didn't know anything about people. I wasn't involved in it. I knew they took out a boat, but I would say that...
I just showed you the New York Times article. I just showed it to you. We just read it on screen. It didn't correct it. It said the same thing, just in different words.
they had a strike. I hear the gentleman that was in charge of that is extraordinary. He's an extraordinary person. I'll let Pete speak about him. But Pete was satisfied. Pete didn't know about second attack having to do with two people. I guess Pete would have to speak to it. I can say this. I want those boats taken out. And if we have to, we'll attack on land also, just like we attack on sea. And there's very little coming in by sea. I think we've knocked out over 90% of it. There's very little, and I understand that. There's very little. We're saving hundreds of thousands of lives with those pinpoint attacks. It's an amazing thing when you see a boat going along, and a lot of the press would like to say they're not. You see the boat. They're not maybe drugs. You see these boats. First of all, who has 5 engines on the back of a boat?
If I would have said 5 engines and it was 4, you guys would murder me for that one. But by the way, the punishment for trafficking drugs is not being murdered. I'd like to keep pointing that out over and over and over again. That I thought we were a law and order country. If you traffic drugs, you don't get murdered without due process. So what you guys are advocating for is that the president gets to just murder people for drug trafficking and just break the laws. Well, I think the law should be different, so it's okay. And that's kind of how you guys always treat Trump. He does something illegal. It gets pointed out that it's illegal. And you're like, well, actually, I don't really like that law anyway, so it's fine. He can do illegal things as long as I like them.
Going in weird directions and loaded up with lots of white containers. They're bags of things. No, they've done an amazing job, and Peter's done an amazing job. Pete, you could probably better answer the question.
No, you're spot on, sir. I think you got to start with the baseline.
Okay.
Marco laid out, everybody's laid out. We've got 20 million people invading our country over.
That's a made-up number. It's between 6 and 8 million. It wasn't invading. It's between 1 and 2.5 million that were here illegally. And those people mostly are gone. So it's a start with the baseline, he says, and then gives you a totally false, made-up, lying fucking number.
For 4 years, we don't know where they're coming from.
And we knew where all of them were coming from. Those were asylum seekers. We knew exactly where they were coming from. Jen said, please look into shit going down in Indiana. Bomb threats, swatting, safety concerns for state reps and senators due to pushback against redistricting. Jesus Christ. Jen, if you get anything on that, will you send it to me?
Includes Tren de Aragua and cartels and violent criminals. They bring drugs, and you mentioned it, Mr. President, poisoning, an intentional poisoning of the American people, killing hundreds of thousands of Americans.
Now, that's a lie, too, right? This is the little trick that they love to play. They say, oh, drugs are killing Americans. Yeah. Not these ones. These aren't the ones that are killing hundreds of thousands of Americans. But let's see what the responsibility. Let's just do the math here. So this is the C drug. That's like Coca-Cola. Let's see each year how many Americans are unalived every year with Coca-Cola. 22,000 now. I'll get out my calculator. About 5% of what that particular illicit substance, about 5% of that is coming from Venezuela. So I'm going to take the 22,000. Let's go 2020. Oh yeah, it actually came down. So the last year we had total was 22,174, and I'm going to get 5% of that. That's 1,100 people. What number did you say there, Pete? What number are you using to justify murder?
President, poisoning, an intentional poisoning of the American people, killing hundreds of thousands of Americans.
1,100 at best. Now again, why are they lying? No, it wasn't Matthew. No, it wasn't Matthew. You're lying now. The F illicit substance comes almost exclusively from China, and then comes in through our northern and southern border. It's not coming in on boats. No, I'm saying Coca-Cola kills way less than fentanyl. Maybe I wasn't supposed to say that. Way less. Let's see. What's the number for the F one? 72,000 in 2023. I don't know. There's no updated 2024 number. 72,000. So it's, what's that? Almost 4 times as much come from the F drug. Now, this isn't that F drug. So they made up the number, even like the number of hundreds of thousands is made up. At best, it's 1,100. Now, you don't care, but it is alarming that you sit there and allow them to lie this blatantly to you, and it doesn't bother you. You still will be more upset with me. No, I'm saying that you can't. You guys are crazy. Coke good, Orange Man bad. Is that what you're saying? Yeah, that's you. You know how fucking stupid you have to be to say that? Like how dismissive you have to be of reality. What I'm saying is that if you're trafficking illicit substances into this country, the penalty for that is not that you get murdered without a trial. That's what I'm saying. And then I'm also saying that they're lying. And they're lying so that you'll justify this murder, which they probably don't need to do because you don't care. You don't care who they murder. I don't even know why they're lying about this. The alarming truth about all of this is they could just tell you the truth and you would still be okay with it because you don't fucking care. These are people from South America, and America first is apparently murder. And the last thing I want to point out is that the only way that you're ever going to stop this, we've done the war on drugs for decades. We've done it heavy-handed. We've done it less heavy-handed. The only way that you're ever going to fix this is to address the drug epidemic. You're going to address the need. Nobody is coming in with these substances and forcing them down people's throats. There is a need for this or a demand for this. And if we addressed the root problem, then we wouldn't have so many deaths. But you can't address the root problem without admitting that big pharma and health insurance are perpetrating a lot of that, and that tying health insurance and access to addiction recovery and mental health to your work doesn't make a lot of sense once somebody's addicted because they're going to lose that job. So we're not addressing the actual issue. We're just killing people, and this will not fix anything. What it will do is temporarily stop the flow of these substances from Venezuela until they find a different way around it. And they will find a different way around it because we do this all the time. Might, force, build the wall, more border patrol. None of this stuff has ever worked. None of this stuff ever works. The only way you fix this is the root cause because, look, criminals are always going to find a way. I don't know why you guys are so bloodthirsty. I don't know why you like murder so much. It might be laziness. It might be bigotry. I don't know what it is. But the difficult thing is to address the root problem. And we don't do the difficult thing when we're MAGA. We do the easy thing, which is blame Joe Biden and then murder people. Illusion said Trump thanked them for selling us the sea powder yesterday. Did you see that? Of course, he pardoned the main man in that respect. That's right. He just pardoned somebody who said, I'm going to shove this down the gringos' throats. And trafficked in, like, I don't remember how many tons he trafficked in. And Trump pardoned him because he's like, well, it wasn't fair because Biden. Thanks, Marianne. Lee said, the number one takeaway from this administration is we're learning a lot more about government, business, and billionaires. Good point. All right.
Poisoning, an intentional poisoning of the American people, killing hundreds of thousands of Americans. So the president had the courage to designate these cartels.
Oh, he's so brave.
He's
so brave. He's so brave that he wrote down on a piece of paper. How brave.
Terrorist organizations. Now, a number of us here served in the military and spent 20 years fighting terrorists like Al-Qaeda and ISIS on the other side of the world.
Jen wants to remind me that dealers cut the Coca-Cola with other things to make it go further, and that's what's unaliving people. I agree with that, but that's still not. If the thing that you're cutting with is what's killing, then why are you going after those people? Why are you cutting deals with China? Why are you pardoning traffickers? Thank you for the reminder, though.
How do you treat Al-Qaeda and ISIS? Do you arrest them and treat them, pat them on the head and say, don't do that again? Or do you end the problem directly by taking a lethal, kinetic approach?
Oh, I'm sorry. Do we still have terrorism in the Middle East? Did it end when we decimated Al-Qaeda or ISIS? Are they back now? Are there other groups that just branch off? Yeah, it doesn't work. We're talking about, they campaigned on we're not going to do regime change war, and now they're like, let's do regime change war. That was what Trump criticized Rubio for. He was like, you just want to be in these endless wars and do regime change wars. And Rubio's like, you don't understand. You've never worked in government. You have to do regime change. And Trump's like, no, you don't have to do regime change. And now it looks like Rubio won. And now Trump's just using Rubio's strategy. People were like, I'm not going to vote for Rubio. I'm going to vote for Trump because Trump says no new wars. Now Trump's just doing Rubio's strategy.
And that's the way President Trump has authorized the War Department to look at these cartels. And I wish everybody could be in the room watching our professionals like Mitch Bradley.
Now, here's the part where he says, it's not fair for you guys to criticize me. Why don't, you're hurting their feelings. No, we're criticizing you. He did this with Iran too. Nobody criticized the pilots that flew to Iran. We criticized you, the decision makers. We don't like the decisions that you're making. We understand that the soldiers have to follow orders, and none of us blame. I hope that we don't blame them. I'm not going to put the blame on them. I'm putting the blame on you. So now he's going to use those people as a shield for his own criticism.
Admiral Mitch Bradley and others at JSOC and SOCOM and other commanders, the deliberative process, the detail, the rigorous, the intel, the legal, the evidence-based way that we're able to, with sources and methods that we can't reveal here, that make sure that every one of those
zero wars under Trump
drug boats is tied to a designated terrorist organization. We know who's on it, what they're doing, what they're carrying. All these white bales are not Christmas gifts from Santa. This is drugs running on four-motor fast boats or submarines that we've also struck. No one's fishing on a submarine.
Christie says, you're wrong about us helping the addicted. We regularly offer thoughts and prayers. That's true. The Republicans have been offering a lot of thoughts and prayers. I apologize.
And I have empowered them to make that call. Now, the first couple of strikes, as you would, as any leader would want, you want to own that responsibility. So I said, I'm going to be the one to make the call after getting all the information and make sure it's the right strike. That was September 2nd. There's a lot of intelligence that goes into that, building that case and understanding that, a lot of people providing information. I watched that first strike live. As you can imagine, at the Department of War, we got a lot of things to do. So I didn't stick around for the hour and 2 hours, whatever, where all the sensitive site exploitation digitally occurs. So I moved on to my next meeting. A couple of hours later, I learned that that commander had made which he had the complete authority to do, and by the way, Admiral Bradley made the correct decision to ultimately...
I stepped out of the room, but he can do it. No, it's an obvious war crime. We'll get to that in a minute, but like, it's pretty obvious this is a war crime. I see Sassy said they should have refused the illegal order they're supposed to. I want to know what happened in that room before I make that decision, because I know that these people are claiming that this is an act of war, that you can do all of these things. I will agree, though, from what I'm understanding, from what I'm reading, they probably should have known that the double tap was a war crime. And if that is true, then, yeah, they should be prosecuted. But Trump will just pardon all of these people.
Sink the boat and eliminate the threat. He sunk the boat, and eliminated the threat. And it was the right call. We have his back, and the American people are safer because narco-terrorists know you can't bring drugs through the water and eventually on land if necessary to the American people. We will eliminate that threat, and we're proud to do it.
Yeah, we're proud to do war crimes. Proud. Well, good point, Sassy. I said that yesterday, that we're not at war, so it's not a war crime. It's murder. I think I'm wrong about that, and I'll show you some clips here. This is I'm trying to remember her name. I believe she was a lawyer. What is her name? Donovan. It'll say who she is. Pull this up. I should have written this down. Not say her name? I forgot her name. I don't know what her what she has prosecuted. I don't know her history, but this is where I think I'm wrong about it not being a war crime.
Margaret, is that not Margaret? I want Margaret to weigh in on
That's simply not true. Look,
Why?
because you cannot shoot survivors of a shipwreck that are clinging on for dear life in the middle of the ocean.
You're using the word shipwreck to hide the distinction that I am
I'll use Secretary Hexas'
The word shipwreck is in the red.
Yes, but I'm saying the whole point here is it still a legitimate
target or not. If they can get on that debris and call for the rest of the narco-terrorists to show up and save them, it is still a legitimate military target.
Okay, I'm going to defer to the...
Okay, so what she's saying here is there's a rule that I think she'll clear up, but like if there's a definition of what a shipwreck is. So if there's people in the water, they cannot be targeted unless they pose an imminent threat. So even this scenario she's laying out, where if they could get back on the boat and they could call somebody to come pick them up, they're still not an imminent threat.
Expert here. Go
Look,
ahead,
factually,
Margaret.
this just doesn't pass the laugh test. You're talking about two people stranded in the middle of the ocean, and you think
Can
they're
you
going to call
please
for
say, is that
backup?
distinction between
Was the
whether
kill
it is
strike order-
disabled or whether it is destroyed
Can we back up a little bit, because I just want to explain sort of how an airstrike is prosecuted, right? Because first you have a target in the first place,
Yes.
and the target could be an
But
individual,
you
the
think
target
that
could be a
was never
building,
a legitimate
the
target.
target could be a boat.
Say something.
And so this is why we need, and we talked about this the other night, we need a full investigation. What was the target?
Can't believe somebody who's such a Zionist is arguing that things aren't war crimes. Who could have seen that coming?
Because I thought the target was the drugs. Those are gone if the boat's on fire. Maybe the target is these
Target was the
so-called
boat.
terrorists.
The target was the boat, according to all of the reporting.
So I think we should wait for an investigation to see what the target actually was. If the target was a boat, then we're in this place where, we are using military force to target boats. What?
Okay,
I mean,
see,
for
yeah,
something
you don't
that,
think that the initial military attack was
can I make one more point? Because this entire
So it's not even
hypothetical,
about the second one,
the
right?
entire hypothetical that you're posing hinges on whether or not they could call somebody to be rescued. But if they're in a scenario where they need to call somebody to be rescued, they are shipwrecked. That is the definition of shipwrecked, and they cannot be targeted. That term, as Abby pointed out,
I'm sorry, if the
is
radio is
specifically
still
used.
working on the boat, it is still a legitimate military
you
target.
cannot just concoct your own explanation
I'm
for
not
this.
concocting my own
I'm
explanation.
just
This
saying.
is the
She's literally concocting her own explanation. That's literally what she's doing.
Here's what, no. I'm saying that literally the law says that attacking shipwrecked individuals in the context of war is not allowed. That is literally what they
Because
use
a
that.
shipwreck is no longer a legitimate
word
target because it's no
shipwreck
longer
is
a threat.
Is in the document.
We're agreeing.
So
I'm not
just saying
you are agreeing with me.
you are suggesting that if there's any scenario in which maybe they could have called somebody on land,
Yeah.
they would have come by boat or helicopter or whatever to help them, then that would have justified attacking them again. I am pretty sure, as Margaret is saying, and as virtually everybody is saying, that is not the case. I will agree with you on one thing. This requires investigation. We need more information.
All right. I agree with that. They're arguing whether or not, they don't even know what the target was. Now, saying the boat is the target's kind of a weird thing, right? Like the drugs obviously are the target. That's what we're trying to stop from coming in here, right? This. Update this real quick. Well, I'll go to this next one. All right, so there's some food for thought. We won't know till we have an investigation. I'm not trying to say I know. I think that there's a lot that we don't understand yet. But I will say this, that Pete Hegseth keeps getting caught in lies. And he seems to be putting his foot in his mouth over and over and over again. And now it looks like he's deflecting the blame onto somebody else. I think a real leader would just say, yeah, that was my doing. It's on me. I think that's what like a powerful, strong leader does, is they say the buck stops with me. But you got two people. You got Donald Trump, who will never take the blame for anything, and Pete Hegseth, who's cut from the same mold. And somehow you guys have been convinced along the way that they must just actually be perfect, that they must not actually make mistakes. That's why they don't ever admit mistakes, because nothing they do is actually a mistake. How dare you insult combat veteran and the people out there keeping you safe, because that's what you're doing if you agree that this is a war. What? I don't know. Who are you talking about? Pete Hegseth? Pete Hegseth called it a war. Are you talking to me? You might be responding to somebody else. I'm not sure. Well, if the people that are smuggling the substances are the target, then now we're back to, are you allowed to just murder people for trafficking drugs? Now we're back there. So now it's murder again, right? You see how like no matter what definition you take, no matter how you try and spin this, they're doing something illegal. If it's war, then Well, we didn't declare a war, so that's weird. And if it's war, then this is a war crime. It's clearly laid out that it's a war crime, that if they're in the water, that's a war crime. And then you're like, well, no, it's not war. It's actually about drug trafficking. Well, then if it's about drug trafficking, you can't just indiscriminately kill people who are trafficking drugs. Then that's murder. There's not a way that I can figure out in my brain that this isn't a crime. Now, you guys have figured out a way to not care about it. What you guys have decided to do is say, I don't care that they committed a crime because I want the drugs to stop. And this is, again, it goes back to what we were talking about with the kids. Donald Trump paints this idea like, here's what we're trying to accomplish. And you're like, good, I agree with us trying to accomplish that. I agree. I would like less drugs in this country. But if less drugs in this country means war crimes, no, I'm not okay with that. Find a more effective way to do it. And go after the actual root cause. What all of you do with Donald Trump all the time is you listen to what he says his goal is, and then you justify him committing crimes to accomplish those goals. And that's where the disconnect is here. There's not a single person in this chat who thinks, let's let in more drugs. There's different sets of morals here. There are people like yourselves who say we can do whatever the fuck we want as long as we have a goal that we agree with. And then there are folks like us who say, no matter what your goal is, that doesn't mean you get to indiscriminately unalive people. You can't just unalive people because you want to, with no due process, no evidence that there's even drugs there. You guys don't know what was on that boat. You don't know. Now, the military might know. They might have information we don't have, but you don't know. So you are people who, without information, are justifying killing people. Without all the information. I'm a person who would rather have the information before I say if it's justified or not. I think that that's a fair stance for me to take. I think it's the right stance for me to take. And I think it's the stance that you would take if you weren't buried inside Donald Trump's asshole. Burned Out says, Sean Fine wants to debate RTP. Oh, well, Sean, great news. You can. You just got to message Jen on Discord. We'll bring you up. Jen, say hi. It'll sound just like this if you come up and talk to me through Discord. It'll be live on the air. Jen, are you working on it already?
Yep, just like this.
There you go. That's what it'll sound like, Sean. I see that you've sent a lot of comments. You could have taken that time and sent Jen a message. Look up Heinz Wilhelm Eck, Amy says. What is Hans Wilhelm Eck? I've never heard that in my life. Oh, is it Kepke? Possibly? Did you maybe do it wrong? German zoologist? Ornithologist? What do I need to know about him? Yeah, you'll have to give me more context. I'm not sure. There's a big history on him. You've also never heard "I'm proud of you, son"? That's not true. I've heard that before. Not a lot, though, if we're being honest. My dad's not very happy with me because I left the cult that he's in. He's pretty upset about that. I got Marianne, I think, there. Just reminding guys, we are crowdfunded. The ways to help us accomplish our goals every day are either, in both cases, at the top of the screen, super chats, TikTok gifts, all that stuff. Wherever you are, those are the instructions. We do rely on your generosity to keep the lights on each and every day. We also have paid memberships, and every other Monday we do a movie night together in Discord. You just got to be a paid member to do that. And then just a reminder, check right now. See if you're subscribed to this channel. If you're not, subscribe. It's free. And if you can send this out to a couple of your friends each day, that would be dope. Can I debate for 2 minutes on Discord? No, I'm not interested in a 2-minute debate. That sounds like you want to come up and say something and then not get any pushback. So no, you can come up for a conversation, but not 2 minutes. We don't do a 2-minute debate. That would be silly and a massive waste of time. Let me update that. Let's play an ad for you guys real quick. Like if I get a pool noodle and go to the park and LARP with my friends and dress up in costumes, how's that any different than being a Republican? It's not very different. By the way, I just want to point out one more time that the two men that you just saw speaking spend hours a day putting on makeup. Hours a day putting on makeup for their gender-affirming care. So big, strong military man in his big, strong makeup every day. But, you know, at least you guys don't have as many black people in the military anymore, so that probably makes you happy. All right. U.S. official tells Fox now, and here is the blame. Here's what they're going to say now. This is Jackie Heinrichs citing her sources. It's already begun. Sorry, Bradley. You're going to take the heat for this. Not Trump, not Hegseth, not those whiny little bitches. They're going to deflect to you.
New tonight, a U.S. official tells Fox Bradley ordered the second strike to sink the boat because it could have posed a hazard to navigation for other vessels, or survivors could have called backup to retrieve the goods on that boat. Those details are among the many that are likely to be the focus of Congress later on this week, John. New tonight.
Right, there it goes. What do I think of Victor Davis Hanson? I don't know who that is. You can send me some information on Victor Davis Hanson. All right. I'm going to skip this. But there's some people that are upset. Republicans now are pretty upset about what Hegseth did and concerned. Senator King is a little less upset, but he's got some real questions for Hegseth. The same questions that I have.
The day after this strike, he was on TV sort of bragging about having seen it and had the tape, and I saw it in real time. Today he said, well, I didn't see the second strike. I had to go to a meeting. Well, I want to see his calendar for that day. I want to know what meeting he went to. I want to know how long he was, where he was. And we want to see, the committee wants to see the whole tape of exactly what transpired. The second thing that's worrisome about this, it's been reported that his order was kill everybody. That in itself is an illegal order. You cannot order, because if somebody...
Guys, just remember, this is a rhino, though, okay? If they're criticizing Trump, they're a rhino. So you don't have to listen to this, MAGA. All criticism of Trump can just be chalked up to that they don't like Trump. Amy said he was convicted and executed for ordering his crew to shoot the survivors of a Greek merchant ship that his U-boat had sunk. Okay, I need to read that story. Thanks, Amy.
Has surrendered, or if they're shipwrecked and helpless, you can't kill them. So an order, the other term is called give no quarter. Throughout history, that's been an illegal order. So I want to know exactly what he said, and I want to know what the admiral did. And this is serious stuff. The day after this.
All right. He's got some answers. Rand Paul, not so kind. Rand Paul thinks that this sounds an awful lot like a cover-up and a war crime.
Looks to me like they're trying to pin the blame on somebody else and not them. There's a very distinct...
I talked about that yesterday, Bob. We talked about Obama's drone strikes yesterday. I've talked about Obama's drone strikes as long as I've done this. We've referred to him as the drone striker in chief. We've talked about the indiscriminate use of drone strikes, both in the Obama administration and the Trump administration. You're just deflecting because you're uncomfortable right now.
Statement was said on Sunday. Secretary Hegseth said he had no knowledge of this and it did not happen. It was fake news. It didn't happen. And then the next day from the podium at the White House they're saying it did happen. So either he was lying to us on Sunday or he's incompetent and didn't know it had happened. Do we think there's any chance that on Sunday the Secretary of the Defense did not know there had been a second strike? In this
yeah, honestly, because of the second part. We knew he was incompetent when he stepped into that position. Pete Hegseth has no qualifications to have the job that he has. He's run two organizations. Both of them wound up firing him for mismanaging and losing funds. He's been an alcoholic. He has struggled to keep his marriages together. As somebody who also should run the Department of Defense, I can say that. I think most of us aren't qualified to run the Department of Defense, but Pete Hegseth certainly wasn't qualified to run the Department of Defense. He is incompetent. So yes, I could believe that. I don't think that's the case. I think he's lying, but that's great. Somebody, Stephen, great. Stephen, I hope you stick around, Stephen, because I'm going to fact check that number that you just repeated from Donald Trump because you're a dipshit. And you're going to be wrong about that number. And then you're going to be like, well, so I don't care. I don't care that I'm wrong. It's still too much, because we know what you're going to do. Now, Judge Napolitano, who is a colleague of Pete Hegseth, who likes Pete Hegseth, who worked with Pete Hegseth, is now saying, like, as a former judge, yeah, it's a war crime.
It gives me no pleasure to say what I'm
Thanks, Alyssa.
about to say, because I worked with Pete Hegseth for 7 or 8 years at Fox News. This is an act of a war crime, ordering survivors who the law requires be rescued instead to be murdered. There's absolutely no legal basis for it. Everybody along the line who did it, from the Secretary of Defense to the Admiral to the people who actually pulled the trigger, should be prosecuted for a war crime for killing these 2 people.
And who would bring that prosecution forward?
Military would bring that, because they're all active duty military. Not the Secretary of Defense, but everybody else would be subject to a court martial. I don't know where this is going to go. Republicans in the
Bob's obviously a bot. Mute Bob. Bob S5E4Q. He's just literally like retweeting Trump quote, or he's just posting Trump quotes. Sorry, Bob. Bye.
Congress seem to be as exacerbated by it as the Democrats do. I think it's getting beyond politics now. The killing is out of hand. And this last one, in which Pete Hegseth first denied that he gave the order, and then the White House said he did give the order, and then the White House said it was in self-defense. Self-defense. You got 2 people in the ocean clinging to a burning boat to stay alive, and they're going to be killed for self-defense? That doesn't make any sense.
You guys know that was what they said, self-defense. You know, Trump said it was self-defense. Dolphin said when they had an oversight closed-door meeting about the boat strikes, they literally came out and said they have no clue who they blew up. Cool. So cool. You're doing some real landscaping outside. Hopefully you guys can't hear that. All right, but great news. We've got Senator Roger Marshall. Now, here you go, MAGA. I'm going to throw you a bone. This is what you're supposed to say today. Roger Marshall's a good foot soldier. You're supposed to say what Roger Marshall says. So take notes here.
About the September 2nd strike, which included a subsequent rocket that was launched that killed a couple of men who were hanging.
Snipers don't exist. They're defending the Americans at home. Excuse me, how are they defending the Americans at home from 2 men in the middle of the ocean clinging to a burning boat? Please explain how that's self-defense. Please.
About the September 2nd strike, which included a subsequent rocket that was launched that killed a couple of men who were hanging on to the side of the boat. We heard Secretary of Defense Hegseth offer his explanation yesterday as to what happened. You voted to confirm the secretary back in January. Some of your Republican colleagues have called into question what happened there. We know there's going to be some hearings on the Hill in the next couple of days, some closed-door testimony. Do you still believe Secretary of Defense Hegseth is the right man for the job? What concerns, if any, do you have about what you learned about the September strike?
Yeah, I stand beside Secretary Hegseth. I'm reminded of something President Eisenhower once said, that I hate war as only a soldier who lived it can, with all its brutality and futility. Look, we're losing 200 Americans every day to drug poisoning from these drug lords. This is a war, and it's ugly. War is never pretty. I want to gather all the facts, of course. Let's gather the facts, but let's not pronounce judgment here. All I can say is that strike probably saved thousands of American lives. Again.
Nope, it didn't. There's no way that saved thousands of American lives. There's 1,100 people die from that substance in America per year. 1,100. So it can't be thousands, because not that many people die. But also, that was a tiny amount. Still to this day, so we're clear, almost all of the drugs that come into this country are still coming through ports of entry, either coming in on shipping through shipping containers or through vehicles through legal ports of entry. Almost none of them are coming through on these small little boats, because these small little boats are easy to find. That's the other part I think that we need to address. The evidence that these boats were delivering those drugs to America we have not seen. You have no evidence that those drugs were going to wind up in America. Those boats can't get to America. So you're guessing. You're guessing that they were. And this is an administration who's been trying to go to war with Venezuela and who's been attacking Venezuela in the first term and this term as well, because they want to help out their oil buddies. This is just Iraq all over again. You guys are going to be on the wrong side of history. And if any of you are still alive 30 years from now, you're all going to pretend that you were against this, because everybody's going to recognize exactly what it was. It was a war on somebody's oil so that we could get American oil interests to get the contracts that they wanted. And it's not going to benefit Americans. It's just going to benefit Trump's donors. And you're all going to lie and be like, no, I totally knew. And we're still going to have a drug problem unless somebody, probably on the other side of the aisle, addresses the root problem, which is addiction, which we're not doing anything about. We actually, Trump pulled a bunch of money from addiction services and grants for recovery. You're all going to lie about this. You're only defending it now because you love Donald Trump and you don't want to admit that you're wrong. And that's what Senator Roger Marshall is doing here too. You're justifying murder, and it will not work.
We're losing a couple hundred Americans every day to this drug poisoning, and I think that these strikes are slowing down the import of those deadly drugs. Emphasize, this is poisoning, not just overdoses. These are poisonings.
What? They're overdoses. What is he talking about? These are not overdoses. They're overdoses. You took. That's what an overdose is. Take too much, you die. Keep wasting yourself, brother. What do you think that I'm hateful for criticizing somebody for doing murder? Do you recognize, as a good Christian American, how ridiculous it is that you're upset that I'm critical of people who are murdering, and you think I'm the problem? I'm the problem for criticizing an administration who won't give us evidence here? That's crazy. All right. We're done with that part. We're going to get to the most overtly xenophobic, bigoted thing I've ever heard come out of a president's mouth. And this is where I'm going to get pissed, because the chat's about to be really, really defensive of xenophobia. Whatever you think of what's happening in Minnesota, wherever you want to place blame, speaking about people as a whole in the way Trump did yesterday is evidence to me of one main thing. So I told somebody this story this morning, but my grandma had... I don't even remember what condition she had, but she basically, her final years, she lost her mind. She couldn't live in the now. And I remember I was 5 years old. We went in there, and my grandma was calling us the N-word, which was bizarre, right? Because look at me. And my brothers and sister also not. But also I was like, holy shit, why is grandma a racist? Like, what is going on there? As people lose their faculties, which Trump clearly is, as he slept through this, they lose that ability sometimes to censor the stuff that has stayed inside their head. You know, all of this stuff is said behind closed doors, and it's being said in open public. And I want those of you in the chat here to recognize that the people in the chat who are about to celebrate and defend this are gross people, and I do not think that they represent most Americans. I hope they don't. And I hope they don't represent most of MAGA. But it's about to get real disgusting in this chat, and I know that by playing this clip, this is going to happen, and there's not a lot I can do about it. So just be aware. And just a pre-fuck you to every MAGA who defends what Trump said here.
Waltz is a grossly incompetent man. There's something wrong with him, okay? There's something wrong with him. And when you look at what he's done with Somalia, which is barely a country, you know, they have no anything. They just run around killing each other. There's no structure. And when I see
how'd that happen? Does anybody know what happened to Somalia? What destabilized Somalia? Anybody know? MAGA? foreign influence, specifically Russia, and then a little bit from the United States in the 80s. We decimated them, just like United States and Russia always do. We go over into other people's countries. We try and replace them. We replace their culture. We hate them. We try and change them. We invade their countries. Everything that you guys claim that these immigrants are doing here is actually what America does. We invade everywhere. We murder everywhere. We force our incompatible views on other countries all the time. We are not the good guys. We are the problem. We're just like Russia. When we need more money, we just go to war with somebody. And that props up our economy because we can build a bunch of missiles and weapons. And then we try and take those precious resources from those countries. We are everything you claim that you're afraid of. We should probably be honest about that.
Somebody like Ilhan Omar, who I don't know at all, but I always watch her for years. I've watched her complain about our Constitution, how she's being treated badly. Our Constitution, the United States of America, is a bad place.
She's never said any of that, by the way. She has literally never said any of that. She's never said, I hate the Constitution. She's never said that America's a bad place. She just doesn't like racists. So when she talks about racists, it bothers Donald Trump. If you're not a racist and people complain about racists, you usually don't get upset. It hits close to home for Donald Trump.
Hates everybody, hates Jewish people, hates everybody. And I think she's an incompetent person. She's a real terrible person. But when I watch what is happening in Minnesota, the land of 1,000 lakes, or however many lakes they have, they got a lot of lakes, but this beautiful place, and I see these people ripping it off, and now I'm understanding, and you're going to look at that, Scott, I hear they ripped off Somalians, ripped off that state for billions of dollars, billions, every year.
I'd like to point out something quickly, that what he's talking about is an accusation. We don't even know we don't even know all of the details yet. This is an investigation that's been opened. And all of you Trumpers and Trump himself, you have decided, not law and order, not innocent until proven guilty, not let's see how it plays out. We've indicted you, therefore you are guilty, and now we get to say a bunch of xenophobic shit about you.
Billions of dollars, and they contribute nothing. The welfare is like 88%.
That's a lie. It's not 88%. I'll show you the numbers in a minute.
They contribute nothing.
They have saved multiple towns in Minnesota where the good white Americans refuse to do any fucking work. And business owners were desperate for workers, and so they went to the Somali communities and said, "Hey, we've got work for you. Come on up." That's how they wound up in Minnesota, because there was work there that the good whites wouldn't do. That's why these populations are what they are, is because they came to work. Even these folks that 88%'s a lie. Not 88% are on welfare. But did you notice he didn't say how many people, what percentage of people on welfare are also working?
I don't want them in our country, I'll be honest with you, okay? Somebody would say, oh, that's not politically correct. I don't care. I don't want them in our country. Their country's no good for a reason. Their country stinks, and we don't want them in our country. I could say that about other countries, too. I can say it about other countries, too. We don't want them to hell. We have to rebuild our country. You know, our country's at a tipping point.
This is just Nazism. This is the American Nazi Party from the 30s. This is the actual Nazis. This is every Nazi movement all across the world, in Australia, in the UK. All these videos that you guys see on Twitter and you keep referencing, you're all Nazis. I'm fine saying it. You are blaming our problems on groups of people. And while we're talking about this, even if what he was saying was true, even if 88% of these people were receiving welfare, and even if those 88% were receiving welfare and weren't working, which both of those things are lies, it is but a small drop in the bucket in terms of the amount of waste, fraud, and abuse that happens across this country. It's almost none. This is full-on racist bitch shit. And I'm tired of you motherfucking racists lying that you're not fucking Nazis. Because you are. And if you don't know it, then you're just fucking stupid, and there's not a lot I can do about that. But this is petty, small-minded bitch shit. I don't know when our country became so full of white dudes who were pussies, but Jesus fucking Christ, do we have an epidemic of below average white male pussies in this country. You're all a bunch of thin-skinned pussies who have nothing else on your plate. Nothing's going well for you. So what do? You blame people that look differently than you because you don't have shit going for you. Your leader, your Nick Fuentes leader, is literally a guy that is so repulsive to other human beings that women won't touch him. And everybody that sells advertising canceled him because he is that fucking repulsive. But I didn't know we had so many mediocre, tiny-dicked pussies in this country who would agree with this type of shit. And I'd say it to all your face, but I gotta get on my knees because you're all 5'2". I am so tired of our country being judged by you. It's embarrassing. This is the leader of the free world in front of the national audience complaining about welfare fraud and saying, oh, there's too many people on welfare, therefore I hate that whole fucking country. It gets worse. This guy's a bitch. The guy next to him's a bitch. If you think your problems are because other people that look differently than you are in this country, then you also are a bitch. And if you're not a bitch, I would love to get one of you to explain it to me. Because I talked to one of your other leaders, Andrew Wilson, and I begged him to explain to me this economic impact that you guys keep bitching about. And you know what he said? Sorry, Jay, I'm such a bitch that I'm going to concede the whole fucking economic argument to you so we can talk more about my motherfucking feelings about how brown people make me feel uncomfortable. And every last one of you, every one of you losers that I've ever fucking debated, when we talk numbers, you go, what about my feelings? Suck it the fuck up, you little bitches. I'm tired of being associated with you. I'm tired of being looped in with you. There is nothing great about white male America. It's a bunch of thin-skinned little bitches, and it sucks that I have to be aligned with you. It sucks that when I go outside, somebody looks at me and the way I dress and the way I look, they're like, MAGA. And that's a fair assessment, but I'm real fucking tired of people assuming I'm just a little bitch who blames all of my problems on immigrants. Not one of you can show me how your problems are from immigrants. Your problems are from you being mediocre as fuck, but you don't want to admit it. Because everything in your life's just been handed to you. Whatever mediocrity you have was gifted to you because you're white and you're a man. And I challenge any one of you to come up and have the debate sometime. But I've tried to debate your people, and all your people ever do is go, I don't want to talk about numbers. I want to talk about my feelings. I want to talk about culture. I want to talk about morals. No, you want to blame your problems on immigrants. And I'm fucking, it makes me, I was more mad. Like, I thought about not doing the show today. Because of this, I'm so embarrassed by this. It's deeply troubling that this man exists and that this was met with a standing ovation at the end by the dumbest fucking cabinet ever assembled. And I mean that as much as I can mean something. There's never been a group of lower IQ dipshits in the world, and they just sit around and say how everybody else is dumb while they give you fake numbers and don't understand anything. Not one of them cited an accurate statistic. The whole fucking meeting, 0 of them. I fact-checked everything they said, and every single one of them cited fake statistics. Why? Because they don't want to admit that this administration is failing. So they're going to blame Joe Biden. They're going to blame immigrants. They're going to start a war to distract you. They're going to blame Tim Walz. They're going to do anything but admit that the value of the dollar has plummeted under this administration, that we're bleeding jobs, that our economy has been exposed as a complete fraud where 5 companies hold all the value, and those 5 companies don't really make any fucking money. And we just artificially keep propping them up, and they're falling apart now too. Because they recreated the 2008 financial crisis. They're like, but this time we're smart and it won't fail. And now it's failing. They're like, oh, fuck, we better buy off the president. That's hard to do. And they're like, great news. It's not hard to do. This guy can be bought for almost nothing. And they're like, cool. So now they've bought him off. And now he's taking all of your taxpayer money and he's giving it to his billionaire friends and telling you, don't look at that. Don't look at the billions of dollars that we're wasting on our friends. Look at these people in Minnesota. Look at the millions of dollars that's being sent, or I guess billions, to Minnesota, where most of these people, by the way, who are getting these benefits are actually working, but they live in a country run by dipshits who don't want to pay people a living wage. So all these billionaires that you're giving handouts to, that you're giving charity to, if they just paid their employees more, we wouldn't have to give welfare to people who work full-time jobs. But no, we can't do that. Socialism bad. It's not just the bigotry. It's not just the racism. It's how goddamn dumb you are. That's what makes me the most mad. Because it would take 11 seconds for you to fact check any of the shit and you wouldn't look so fucking dumb. But you're like, no, I gotta stay dumb because all my friends are dumb. And if I start fact checking things, I'm not gonna have any friends because when somebody has knowledge, it makes me and my friends all threatened. So we're going to talk about morals, and we're going to point at women and be like, oh, your cleavage is out. You slut. You're ruining the country. Meanwhile, like, you guys don't want to learn numbers. You don't want to learn economics. You don't want to learn about fact-checking or data. There is nothing more pathetic than bigotry. Honestly, it is such small-brained, low IQ bitch shit. I have no respect for any of you who buy this shit. None. And the world doesn't respect you. And years from now, you won't respect you. And if you have kids, good Lord, I promise you, your kids aren't going to respect you. Because when your kids are raised, you're going to be in the minority. Folks that look like you and I, we're going to be in the minority. And so you're just going to look like a dumbass. Everybody else is going to be doing fine. You're like, oh, it's actually these people that are my problem. And your kids are going to go to school and be the minority, and they're going to see their friends who are just normal people who look differently than them. And their friend, like the teachers aren't going to look like them, and the principal's not going to look like them. And they're going to look on TV, and the doctors aren't going to look like them. And everybody in a position of power isn't going to look like them anymore. And they're going to be like, why is my dad so convinced that we're great? Look at us. Look at us. We're not dominating anymore. What we're seeing is like white fragility in action. You're seeing like the data's now on the wall that, we're going to be a minority, and you're desperately clinging to that. So your only option for this reality that's looking you in the face is, we better get rid of people who look differently than us. You're losing. You're losing on every front. If everybody thought like you, if all the white people in this country thought like you, guess what? Still be more majority white. Do you know the reality of why you're not going to be majority white anymore? Because some of us don't think that we need to just only date white people. Some of us don't give a fuck. Some of us appreciate a different culture. So you can blame immigrants all you want. But it's really empathy, it's really acceptance, it's really like experience, it's really like learning about other cultures, it's about living in a place not surrounded by people who think exactly like you. That's what has caused this change. And you will be left behind. So I'll say it one more time before I let him finish. You're pathetic. If you are a racist, if you're xenophobic, if you're a bigot, if you're a misogynist, you are just simply pathetic and weak. And if you want, like, you guys can argue that all day long, but I ask you to come up here every single day. And I haven't read the chat. I'm just looking at the screen. But I know that you guys are losing your mind in the chat. And what kind of bitch shit is that? What kind of stand your ground is that? I'm a man. I'm going to sit on the internet and yell things at this guy. I'm not going to come up and talk to him because I can't explain any of this. If he asks me questions, I'm just going to have to admit that I'm racist. This is just, I call you bitches and you're like, I'm going to be a bitch now. I'll show him that I'm not a bitch, and then you just turn into bitches. Let's listen to this dumb bitch.
We have to rebuild our country. You know, our country's at a tipping point. We could go bad. We're at a tipping point. I don't know if people mind me saying that, but I'm saying it. We could go one way or the other, and we're going to go the wrong way if we keep taking in garbage into our country. Ilhan Omar is garbage. She's garbage. Her friends are garbage. These aren't people that work. These aren't people that say, let's go, come on, let's make this place great. These are people that do nothing but complain.
This whole fucking meeting has been nothing but complaining. You're complaining right now. You're in charge. You have the House, the fucking Senate, the executive, and the judicial branch. And this was a 2-hour meeting where they complained. The irony here of this guy complaining about other people and blaming other people for everything, you're going, they just complain. Ilhan Omar advocates for change. She advocates for equality. She advocates for the working class. You can call that complaining all you want, but she's got an idea. You literally haven't changed your policy. You're on the same fucking tax policy before. You ran on Ronald Reagan's phrase from 1984, make America great again was Ronald Reagan's. And then when that wasn't quite enough because you were losing the Nazis, you're like, I know, let's do make America great again and America first so we can bring in the Nazi slogan from the 1930s. This dude is running on recycled ideas from 1930. He doesn't have a single policy to fix healthcare. His tax policy hasn't done dick. He's killed the dollar, and he has the audacity to sit here and complain for 2 hours and then be like, people who advocate for real change are just complainers. Jesus fucking Christ. 2 hours I had to listen to this guy complain, and he's in charge. He could fix all of this, but instead he just complains.
They complain, and from where they came from, they got nothing. You know, they came from paradise, and they said, this isn't paradise. But when they come from hell, and they complain and do nothing but bitch, we don't want them in our country. Let them go back to where they came from and fix it. Thank you very much.
Standing ovation. Oh, I want to be clear. I'm not triggered by Orange Man. I'm triggered by you. I'm triggered by you guys. Donald Trump wouldn't bother me at all if you guys weren't slurping him off. And like, also being triggered, like if you aren't triggered by bigotry, I don't know, fine. Like, call me triggered. I don't care. I don't like this shit. I don't want this for my country. I got a daughter. I don't want my daughter growing up in a country this hateful. I don't hate a single group of people based on what they look like, based on who they worship, based on where they live, based on where their ancestors came from. I only don't like people who hate people for those reasons. I don't like you if you're like that. I want a better world for my kid. And the greatest danger to my daughter is not Somalis. It's not immigrants from Venezuela. The greatest threat to my daughter is you, white men. And that's not racist. That's statistically speaking. The person most likely to hurt my daughter is somebody who thinks like you. Women, back in the kitchen. Women shouldn't vote. Oh, women are too emotional. Oh, you need to have concrete proof if you want to accuse somebody of sexual assault. You are, because if my daughter gets abused by a Republican, you guys will all smear her. I've seen you do it time and time again. You are the threat to women in this country. You are the threat to America. You're destroying our economy because you're bigots. And you don't want to learn anything about this. You just like that the dipshit in charge is also a bigot. And so you're just overlooking the complete destruction of the American economy, the complete handover to the American oligarchs in the name of, he hates the same people I do. That's who I'm triggered by. I'm triggered by mediocre fucks like you guys. Send them. Send me your best, please. Send every one of you losers that thinks you can debate, and we're going to talk about numbers and statistics. And watch how quickly you get triggered. Watch how quickly you start talking about your feelings and culture. What about European? What about Western Europeans? What about Western culture? Nah, you're just soft. Let's get to the numbers that he lied about. Here's the study that they're all citing. I think it's on page 5. Donald Trump said that 88% of Somalis are receiving, I think he said welfare. It's not. 64%. Now, remember, I also predicted that I would correct it and you would say, still too much, still the same, but you're not going to care that Trump lied. You're not going to care that he made up the number. But I also want you to show this, that the people receiving assistance, of all these people that are receiving assistance, 21% of them aren't working. 78% of them have a job. Why do you leave that part out? 78% of them have a job. And he said they're not working, they don't contribute, they don't do anything. 88%, he said, sit around and just take money. No. 78.4% of them are working. It won't bother you because you don't care about any of this. I already predicted how you were going to react. You were going to see the data and you were going to go back to your feelings because you all are soft as baby shit. Soft as baby shit. John, learn how to spell still, okay? It's alarming how many of you, like the people that come here and like chat in the comments, like if you just misspell everything. You're mediocre as fuck. You can't spell, you can't read, you can't check data. You're exactly what, like you prove time and time again that exactly what I just said about you is true. You're lazy, you're mediocre, and you are very emotional. And look, I'm emotional too, but at least I read. Next, let me check messages real quick. Burned Out Medic said for the gift goal and keeping it real. Leslie said for the sermon. Peter said this is for the rant. I love Jay's passion from Teresa. Haley said go off. I think I got that from Alyssa. Sorry, guys, I'm like sweating. That did get me a little worked up. Christy said for the rant. Linda said thank you. Krisha said straight facts. Awesome live today. Did I miss any other ones here? Kristen said, bravo, wish I could send more. So tired of mediocre, lazy white people. Thank you, said Amy. Thank you, Amy. I want to point out that if you hold these views and you're not a white person, I still think you're mediocre. Just want to be clear on that. If you're not white, but you still think that Trump's making good points, I want to be clear that regardless of your ethnicity, I still think you're really fucking mediocre if you hold those views. It is very lazy to hold those views. Now here's Marco Rubio. He says it in a different way than Trump, but it has the same point. And this is crazy for somebody who's like actually was an immigrant. It is crazy for him to say this type of stuff.
Ultimately, all radical Islamic movements in the world identify the West writ large, but the United States in particular, as the greatest evil on the earth. And
yeah, they might be right. Somebody explain to me why we're not the most evil country on earth. Let me explain that to me. Name a country that invades other countries more than we do. Name a country that kills more than we do. I think like if you go around, I was just with a close friend of mine from new close friend from Australia, and while I was in Mexico, talked to some people that were from Portugal. That's what they think about America. They all think we're evil.
Chance to have the notion that somehow radical Islam would be comfortable with simply controlling some province in Iraq or Syria is just not borne out by history. Radical Islam has shown that their desire is not simply to occupy one part of the world and be happy with their own little caliphate. They want to expand. It's revolutionary in its nature. It seeks to expand and control more territories and more people.
I could change 2 words. Change radical Islam to American, or I guess Americans. I'll just read the quote back, but I'm going to change radical Islam to Americans and tell me which part I'm wrong about here. Americans have shown that their desire is not simply to occupy one part of the world and be happy with their own little caliphate. They want to expand. It's revolutionary in its nature. It seeks to expand and control more territories and more people. That's a clear and imminent threat to the world. Which part of that doesn't describe America?
And radical Islam has designs openly on the West, on the United States, on Europe. We've seen that progress there as well. And they are prepared to conduct acts of terrorism, in the case of Iran, nation-state actions, assassinations, murders, you name it, whatever it takes for them to gain their influence and ultimately their domination of different cultures and societies. That's a clear...
Sorry, did I say he was an immigrant? I meant his parents were immigrants. Sorry if I said Rubio was an immigrant. His parents.
An imminent threat to the world and to the broader West, but especially to the United States, who they identify as the chief source of evil on the planet. Okay.
Yeah, and we identify them as the chief source of evil on the planet. But let's just compare records here. Who has done more invading? Radical Islam or the United States? Which one of those 2 groups has been, at least in my lifetime, has been invading? Radical Islam or the United States? It's the United States. We've gone to Iraq twice, Afghanistan, doing drone strikes in Syria, helped out with the genocide in Gaza. Now we're going to Venezuela. We've threatened Mexico, we've threatened Canada, we've threatened Greenland, we've threatened Panama. Islam by far, that's, all right, yeah, you're too stupid to have this conversation. What do you mean? We literally invade with our army. I'm sorry, have any of those countries invaded the United States with its armies? The United States goes and like we interfere in other countries and we create like these rifts and we get them to fight against each other, and then eventually there's like a radical group, and then we go in and we invade and we're like, we have to protect the innocent people. It's us. Like everything he's explaining is us. And by the way, like if I had said this in November, you all would agree with me because Trump was running on we shouldn't do this anymore. You could be like, if you go look at who's that? Dave Smith, Ryan Mata. There's a whole bunch of people on the right that aren't just like all out bigots who agree with me here that the United States does this shit. This isn't even like a right versus left thing. This is like a dipshit versus everybody else thing. This is like my head is buried in Donald Trump's asshole or Nick Fuentes' asshole. I think Fuentes would agree with me here, actually. I think Fuentes would agree that we are actually the ones who invade. I think I think Candace Owens would agree with me here. Tulsi Gabbard used to agree with me here. MAGA used to agree with me here. Trump used to agree with me here. What happened? We didn't even make it a year before you guys abandoned all this shit. Suddenly, we got to go do regime change. Got to do it. You didn't invade. We're not. I don't know if you know that Trump has sent multiple groups of private mercenaries to Venezuela. Do some homework, bud.
The reason why they hate the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, the leadership of the UAE, of Bahrain, is because they've allowed the United States to partner with them. That's why they hate them. They consider them infidels for it. They hate Israel. But they also hate America. And they hate anywhere in the world that we have influence. They seek to attack it, including here in the homeland.
Why wouldn't they? You know what I mean? Like, we keep invading all their countries. Why would they like us? I can't believe you guys don't like us. Why don't you like us?
Look at the domestic terrorists, at the attacks that have happened here domestically. The overwhelming majority of them have been inspired by radical Islamic viewpoints. And that includes the shooting in the Pulse nightclub in Orlando, Florida. That includes the Saudi pilot in Pensacola, my home state, 2 attacks.
Yeah, weren't those both American born? Weren't those Americans? Who did the Pulse nightclub? What was the other one he said? Omar, that was Omar Mateen. Wasn't he American? Yeah, New York. Whoops. What was the other one he mentioned there? Pensacola Navy base. Yeah, that was an American citizen too. Yeah. See how he just blamed the Middle East for two things that American citizens did? We can't even, like, we blame them for shit that our people do. That's why I said, like, it is real bitch assery to blame all of our problems on everybody else. We're blaming Venezuela for our drug problem. We blame I don't even know which country we're currently blaming for our problem with radical Islamists. What about the radical Christians? How come he doesn't bring up the radical Christians that that have shot up clubs? Why don't we talk about that? Well, because Christianity is actually peaceful. When Christians do violent things, it's not Christianity. But if a Muslim does a violent thing, then that's all Muslims. Is Donor still saying that I'll come up, but then he'll just quit and then waits 20 minutes? Don't worry, I've been watching you. All right. This was a question asked to who is this? I think McLaughlin. She is the public affairs. She does public affairs for Department of Homeland Security. It's a good question.
The president yesterday spoke extensively about his feelings about security and immigration and asylum in different parts of the country. He said he does not want people from Somalia here. He called them garbage. The Wall Street Journal estimates there are some 40,000 people from Somalia, born in Somalia, living in Minnesota right now. How many of them, how many of the 40,000 people born in Somalia living in Minnesota do you consider to be garbage?
John, we're really looking at the data, the analysis here, particularly out of Minneapolis. And
how come they won't defend it? How come when all of their lackeys go on TV and they just ask him, like, just defend what Trump said? Why won't they defend it? Why do they deflect? If this is really what you guys are all about, how come they send out all their spokespeople to just pretend that that's not what they mean? Because you're all cowards, every one of you.
Garbage.
John, we're really looking at the data, the analysis here, particularly out of Minneapolis and other parts of the country where we're seeing Somalia. There's widespread fraud, particularly marriage fraud when it comes to immigration. We're looking at criminality here. Homeland Security has very reliable data here and analysis that we can.
Get rid of Dungood, you absolute fucking pussy. You have been, I'm going to come up. I'm going to come up. Oh, but now he's got too many emotions. You're exactly what I said you are. Everybody, just put a lowercase p in the chat for you done good, for debating with the chat for 30 minutes whether or not he was going to come up here and debate, and now he is afraid that their feelings are too big. You guys are all the same. You're all cowards. Every last one of you.
Can go after these individuals and make sure that they're not a public charge on our communities, and they're also not a public threat to the American people.
My question is, all of them? The president says he doesn't want them here. He called them garbage. Do you consider that to be all of the 40,000 people born in Somalia now living in Minnesota?
John, this is not about politics. This is about public safety.
Answer the fucking question. Why are you guys so okay with this? We all know that that's just pure cowardice. What percentage of them? This is not about politics. Nobody asked if this was about politics. They just want you to say, like, what percentage of the people that Trump said were all garbage are garbage.
Just happened last week with the terrorist attack against us here in our nation's capital, where one of our great heroes, Sarah Beckstrom, was killed. That's what the precipice of this was. That's why we have to get back to base camp and make sure we are prioritizing the American people's safety.
Gotta get back to base camp?
It cannot be overstated.
They just put out, like, pretty women out there and with, like, pre-written talking points. Don't say anything, but just look pretty. Do we understand? Like, do we understand that that's what they do? Did you notice it wasn't their normal spokesperson that went out and spoke after Pete Hegseth fucked up? They always just put out some pretty girl to take all the heat for them because they, like all of you, are fucking pussies. And you're hiding behind women. Even these mediocre MAGA women. You all have to hide behind these mediocre MAGA women to do your dirty work. You are you are literally at the bottom of the totem pole. Every time it comes time for you to face accountability, you're like, let's put some women out there instead so we don't have to answer questions.
The position the Biden administration put us in when it came to vetting, letting some of these individuals under these parole programs where there was little to no vetting, no biometric data, no criminal background history, no cyber, no financial crime history. They were really relying on people to vouch for these individuals and say they should be in the country. When it comes to asylum claims,
Yeah, but how many are trash, though?
as well, they were not interviewing these people on a yearly basis as expected by USCIS. That's why these people...
Yeah, it's her job to go out there and not answer questions. I'm with you, John, because your president and your party are a bunch of bitches who don't stand behind the shit that they say, and they're so cowardly that they send a woman out there to not answer questions and do her job. Yeah, I know. I agree with you. She's doing her job. But her job is to cover for these weak men who can't stand on their own 2 feet.
Go ahead, John.
I'm so sorry. The individual who came to the United States suspected of killing, so tragically, that National Guard member came to the United States during the Biden administration, was granted asylum in April during the Trump administration. What?
Now, look, I lost my fucking mind. And none of this really affects me other than I don't like being associated with this type of mediocrity. But I got to say that the amount of strength shown here by Ilhan Omar after this, her life's legitimately in danger. And in the second I show her, the racists in the chat are going to go after her. And I just want to take a second to appreciate. One, this is Laura Loomer's lackey that's just trying to push her buttons so hard. I had her name written down. Actually, I think it's in the tweet here. The Charles Downs, trying so hard. And shout out to Ilhan Omar. I have as much respect for anybody as I possibly could for Ilhan Omar. She is a giant. And I think we are incredibly lucky to have somebody like Ilhan Omar who has more courage than anybody in this administration combined.
Congresswoman, do you agree with President Trump's assumption that you married your brother to get citizenship? Have you begun packing your bags for Somalia yet, Congresswoman Omar?
Not going anywhere.
So you're not?
No, don't waste your energy on me.
Do you have a message for President Trump?
I will be here probably longer than Trump.
Wait, do you have a message for President Trump?
I'm like a quarter of his age.
Do you have anything else you'd like to say to him?
Some old man losing his mind. I don't know why he's obsessed with me.
Interesting. Well, thank you, Congresswoman.
Yeah, I hope he gets help.
Thank you.
Yeah, just some prepubescent kid out there. They're literally trolling. Like your whole ecosystem is trolling, and I know that you guys like it now, but regular people are going to get tired of this. This is going to collapse on you. 90% of America doesn't want to be associated with that type of shit. This will absolutely collapse on you, and you will be nothing again. You guys will be relegated to the corners of the internet again. She has more courage than every last one of you. Every last one of you. And all she does every day is wake up, deal with your bigotry, deal with your xenophobia, and she goes out and she fights for working class people. And you literally don't have dirt on her. You can't find any dirt on her. You make up a story about her marrying her brother, which is ironic for a party that's heavily located in the South. And then you say she hates America because you literally don't have anything else. You just don't like how she dresses. So you're like, she hates America. She has more courage than all of you. I don't know if I have that type of courage to show up every day. I almost didn't do a live stream today. That's how much this upset me. And she's the actual one being targeted. I don't know if I could respect somebody today more than I respect Ilhan Omar. I want to show this also. This was Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey, and I appreciate him saying this because the people of Minnesota don't feel the same way that you bitches do. The people of Minnesota, in many communities, the communities were falling apart. And bringing folks from Somalia in to work saved these communities. And ironically, they also don't pay them very well. So people have gotten rich off the backs of Somalis that came there to work and then complain that they are also, while they're working, that they're also getting welfare. Heaven forbid we just pay them a living wage. But here's the mayor of Minneapolis, Jacob Frey.
Wrong, and we want them here. Somali people have been an extraordinary benefit. I'll say it again.
Will you guys mute the guy that keeps just saying justice for Katie Johnson? Shut up.
Somali people have been a benefit to our city for longer than I have been in our city.
I understand we want justice for Katie Johnson, but you can't spam that all the time. I got to be the same way. Like, can we stay on topic, please?
They have started businesses and created jobs. They have added to the cultural fabric of what Minneapolis is. They were welcoming to me when I first came out to Minneapolis. In fact, they were one of the first groups that I myself got to know. To, again, villainize an entire group is ridiculous under any circumstances. And the way that Donald Trump is consistently doing it, I think, calls into question major constitutional violations. And it certainly violates the moral fabric of what we stand by in this country as Americans.
I thought we did. Oh, thanks for paying. Only a leftist would thank a person for treating them like dirt. 80% of America voted red. 80% voted red. And your side will keep crying, never changes. Have a lovely day. Yeah, dude, keep living in your own little world. That's crazy. I appreciate you being here. We've existed for only 260-ish years. Islam has existed far longer. Your ignorance to world history is showing. What? Islam's not a country. What are you talking about? Are you comparing countries to religion? Oh, we're still going. How about that? Another rule panel for a channel that just insults people. Go figure, a keyboard warrior telling everyone they're garbage. Ironic. All right. Well, thank you. It's good to have you here. I didn't really understand that last one. I don't know if you're using Google Translate or what that is, but I didn't understand that last one. What time is it? 1:15. Lou says Ilhan is the best. Natalie says appreciate your anger. I'm sick of these idiots. Yeah. Let me check over here with Jen, see if I missed any. That made me laugh, though. Nina said, I'm behind on the stream, but wanted to say it's funny that people who only want to discuss culture and ethos will also mock a liberal arts degree. Thank you for your righteous anger. Yeah. Facts. They just mock all degrees. Reading is gay. Degrees are gay. I hate immigrants. Leslie said for the amazing sermon. I think I read that one. Thank you. All right, I'm going to play this, then we'll get out of here. There is, I thought we were going to get to it, but I got sidetracked. There is a civil lawsuit accusing Donald Trump, Elon Musk, and Bill Gates, and I forget this other guy, of a trafficking network. And I'm going to work on this today because it's a fascinating story. I don't really know what to believe with it. But the more I dug in, the more I found, and it's fascinating, so we'll cover that tomorrow. But I wanted to show this clip from one of my new favorite journalist, Pablo Torre. Pablo Torre finds out. This is somebody who's largely does sports. He really got big this last, maybe 2 or 3 months ago when he did an expose exposing how the Clippers were like hiding their payments to Kawhi Leonard, which was against the law and against it could cost Clippers owner his team, probably won't. Then he did the expose on Riley Gaines. And now he brought on a man named Tom McMillan, a former NBA player. And you may recognize Tom McMillan. I don't know why I never thought of this, but you're going to recognize him real quick.
that night? Do you remember what he was?
And Tom McMillan, I did not suspect of any wrongdoing. And at the beginning of this video, I didn't suspect of wrongdoing. But by the end of this video, I think you're all going to be convinced that Tom McMillan is a creep.
Party. Well, the reason why I saw those cameras, I said, God, I didn't realize I was going to walk into a camera fest. And so that's kind of want to get out of there and just go into the party.
This footage from like NBC that they were collecting, the camera fest, there's a very tall man that pops up from behind in the background. You're kind of like ducking away. Ghislaine Maxwell. Did you have any relationship with her? What was the discussion that you were having at that moment behind Trump and Epstein? Because it's just like this historical time capsule of all of these characters.
Well, I think that was the front of the party, and I was walking through. That's the irony of it. I was kind of saying pleasantries to people and moving on. I just, you walk in, you say hello to everybody, you go through. So I didn't really know Ghislaine very well, but I said to folks, hello, and then I went into the party. So it was all, people bring it up all the time, but it was a party 34 years ago. So
So you weren't like discussing future trips on Jeffrey Epstein's plane or anything with Ghislaine Maxwell.
No, I know. It's so long ago, I barely remember it.
But I'm just imagining like what it's like to leave politics in the way that you had, and you're sort of like searching around. Did you want to be an ambassador at one point? Like, how does that work? You get to figure out like, hey, if I could be appointed to some cool country, is that something that you were interested in?
I thought about it, but when I left and went into the Clinton administration as an appointee, but
this is when I started getting suspicious. I was like, he's just like a basketball player who's at the party at the wrong time. And he's like, and then I worked for the Clinton administration. Clinton knew those people pretty well. Clinton knew Ghislaine really well, knew Jeffrey really well. Now I'm starting to think you were in the group.
I never went back and ran for office again, but, I've been very active politically.
Look, the Rolodex of Tom McMillan, and this in terms of fact checking, I just want to make sure I understand correctly, because this is from page 80, Tom, of the exhibit. This is the Virginia Giuffre versus Ghislaine Maxwell case. It produced the Black Book, Jeffrey Epstein's Black Book, as it's been called.
Yeah.
And I just want to, what was it like? I'm just trying to understand as a human, what's it like when you see your name with 2 entries in that Black Book? You're listed C. Thomas McMillan as chairman and CEO of the Risk Group, but then also elsewhere just with your Landover, Maryland address. What is your reaction when you realize that you're in these papers too?
Well, I'm not surprised. That address goes back to probably the early 90s. So, as I said, you run into people like this. He was a collector of people. I don't even know what to say. I think it's very sad. I feel terrible about the victims. And, I hope that all this stuff comes to light and that there can be resolution to it. So
I'm going to speed this up a little bit because he talks slowly. Let me just move this up a hair.
I just need to examine. So in November, the Epstein files that get released by Congress. I don't know if you're familiar with this email, but I'll show it to you. This is an email. The subject is Tom McMillan. Have you seen this, Tom, before I read it out? Because this is one.
It's so crazy. I have no idea where this comes from. It's I'm just trying to think who it is.
So it's blacked out. The from is sort of redacted on this copy. It's January 22nd, 2013. Yep. And
I really don't know. I don't know. It's just strange to me. None of that would make sense to me. So I have no idea. So it's just crazy.
I'll read it because it does verify something that you said, though.
Do you know how bad it's going to be when these people start getting hauled in for questioning? How quickly they've gone for years under the radar. Nobody even thought of Tom McMillan. And the second they're brought in for questioning, they are all going to fall apart. This is going to be, when we finally get access to this, I think we're going to have like years of bringing down some of the most powerful people in America.
Hi, Jeffrey. I saw Tom McMillan last night and he asked about you, said he lost touch. He's tight with the Obamas and is going to be an ambassador, apparently any country he wants. So great, exclamation point. I'd love, all caps, love to be an ambassador, and I'm going attempt to raise enough money on the next election cycle. His info is redacted and redacted. I hesitate to give him your info without your permission. I'm doing Aspen Institute Socrates Society program over President's Weekend. If you're in Aspen, exclamation point, miss you, exclamation point, love and happiness, comma, Gwendolyn.
Do you see what he's doing? He's just like slowly like making the questions more and more specific, like giving him an opportunity to tell the truth. And it's brilliant what Pablo Torre is doing here. He starts off like, oh, it's just a friendly, do you want to respond to this? And now he's getting specific. And you see Tom McMillan just getting more and more uncomfortable. And every time I think he's like, oh, fine, it's the last one. It's the last question.
I have no idea what that's all about. I mean, really, I wouldn't have said any of those things.
Is Larry siding with Tom? Of course you are. Larry's just decided Tom McMillan's innocent now. Larry's gonna be like, oh, everybody on the Epstein list is innocent. I think Jeffrey Epstein was innocent too. They're all innocent. It's all a witch hunt.
It's crazy. I mean, it just doesn't. I have no idea. I mean, it's like I can't even respond. I just don't even know what it's about.
They unredacted the email, and it's a woman named Gwendolyn Beck.
I'm gonna go back to regular speed so you can feel the uncomfortability.
Do you know Gwendolyn Beck?
There's a Gwendolyn Beck that ran for Congress in Virginia, I think. That's the one that she had some relationship with Jeffrey. So
yes,
I've run into her over the years, but I don't know her well.
She did run for Congress in Virginia. Jeffrey Epstein was political donor to her campaign. She was listed in Epstein's black book under, quote, Massage, Florida. Her name shows up 13 times in the manifests of Jeffrey Epstein's plane in the flight logs. Virginia Giuffre claims, quote, she was involved in some of the orgies with Epstein.
Yeah, mouth getting a little dry there, basketball guy. Uh-oh, this isn't friendly anymore. It's wild to watch MAGA in the chat, like just start taking this guy's side. The moment he started looking guilty, they're like, I'm on his side.
And so just that character and the flight logs listing her, it's just Gwendolyn Beck, otherwise no recollection of her.
No. I think we're getting into this crazy minutia. Look, I spent 35 years ago.
Tanya.
I just move on and happy to talk to you about a lot of things, but this one's like, it gets tired. People focus on this.
It's the first time he's ever been interviewed. Like the first time. I'm tired of this. Bro, you've been here for 5 minutes.
And, it's just, what do I say? I say, look, I haven't been involved in this thing for 35 years. So let's move on.
Totally understand. And there's just one more thing, because I just need to make sure I understand it for fact-checking reasons and clarify.
Let's move on.
Yeah,
let's move on. I really didn't do this interview. They hashed back something 35 years ago that I barely remember. So
totally understand. It's just irresponsible of me to not ask the question about, this is Epstein plane flight logs, January 29th, 1993.
I like that. He's like, he's trying not to look at it, just focus. I love Pablo Torre so much.
This is 2 months after the party at Mar-a-Lago that we showed when you were talking to Ghislaine Maxwell right behind Trump and Epstein. 3 weeks after you left Congress. Do you recall this flight? This would be from D.C. to Atlanta to Palm Beach?
No.
Because your name is listed there next to Tommy Quinn.
I don't recall, and I don't think it's accurate. So I don't recall.
Yeah, and then the second line there, it says Tom McMillan, parentheses, congressman. So I'm just trying to make sure I just responsibly clarify what's happening.
Not true. I don't recall any of this. So
is Tommy Quinn somebody that you're close with?
Please, can we move on? I mean, this is just, I thought we were talking about sports and stuff. This was stuff 35 years ago. I don't have any relationships here. Moving on. So I'm going to leave. I'm sorry I wanted to talk about the good things and some of the things that, about college sports and so forth. I mean, this stuff's 30-some years old.
Yeah,
I can't.
I consider you an important person in sports and politics. And so for me, to tell the story of the time capsule of your life, it just requires me to understand.
It's not. I don't recall any of this. This is so long ago. I bet you don't recall 35 years ago. So let's sign off. Give me your final question. What is it?
Is there any final comment?
That's a good point. His sports were further back. That's a good point, Jimmy Wilkes. 35 years ago was when you were working in politics and hanging with Epstein. But before that, earlier than that, was sports. Good point.
Based on what I've shown you that you'd want to express.
I've said I haven't had any relationship with him since the early 90s. So I think that's it. And, I mean, a lot of people knew him. I barely knew him. And so let's move on.
Okay. Tom McMillan, I appreciate your time if that's how you want to end it. Now, when we asked for further comment about Gwendolyn Beck, Tom McMillan wrote this.
As to the 2013 email that Pablo showed me from an acquaintance of mine to Epstein about her having run into me, I have no memory of any encounter. Doubt that I am the one who brought up Epstein. And with respect to the comments about me securing an ambassadorship in the Obama administration, know that since I never discussed a possible ambassadorship with the administration, given my strong support for Senator Clinton's presidential bid in 2008, I don't think I would have even been considered for such a post. It's highly unlikely that I brought up the topic with my acquaintance. That email's fake.
We here at PTFO also reached out to Gwendolyn Beck with a very detailed list of questions, and she did not respond. And when we followed up about these flight logs, he wrote this.
I still do not remember ever being on Epstein's plane, including in January 1993. Tom Quinn, a longtime friend of mine and a lobbyist with Venable in D.C., whose clients included Epstein Client Limited Brands, also couldn't remember the January 1993 flight, but he does remember himself personally taking a flight to Daytona Beach on Epstein's plane in August 1992. We do not know if Epstein offered us seats in January that we ended up not using so that the logs are in error, but in either case, it appears from a Palm Beach Post story that I dug up that I was traveling to Palm Beach at that time to attend another Trump Mar-a-Lago promotion party, this time filmed by ABC. Unlike the November NBC party, I have no specific memory of this party. Why is he going to all these parties with Epstein and Trump?
In an email, when contacted directly, Tom Quinn told us that he was, in fact, on that Daytona flight in 1992, the one listed with Jeffrey Epstein on it. But he said simply, quote, no, end quote, in regards to the January 1993 flight with his friend Tom McMillan.
All right. So there we go. I will end on that note. I can't wait to watch people crumble and fall. It's been decades, and these women all deserve to have this happen in public for the people that they've accused. I'm not saying for sure that he's accused of anything. He just seems to have been on the plane, but that got real shaky real fucking fast. So keep your eye on, Tom McMillan. All right, that's it for me today. Let me check comments one more time, and we'll get out of here. I appreciate you guys. You were very generous today. Jamar said, beautiful rant today. Thanks, Jamar. Good to see you, as always. Did I miss any here? Don't think I missed there. Got Tanya's, got MT Clark, Robin. Okay, got them all. All right, everybody. I will see you tomorrow morning, every weekday morning, 8:30 a.m. to noon Pacific Standard Time. Right here, wherever you watch today. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Again, if you could check real quick, just make sure you're subscribed. And if you want to share, just when this live ends, if you want to share it out to one of your friends, that would be greatly appreciated. If you could like the live, engage in the chat after it's posted. All this chat that we see now, this doesn't transfer onto the video. And I do think that sometimes you see a video that has like 3 comments and 30,000 views, and it looks suspicious. So if you do have a minute, if you could just drop a comment after. It takes like maybe 5 minutes before you can comment once this is done. That would help us a great deal as we continue to try and grow and get the word out. Thank you guys so much for the continued support. I'll see you tomorrow morning bright and early. Stay cute and cool, and have a great summer.